we're going to start off with youth programs, and we have Dick Jones, past district governor Dick Jones, and past district governor Dan Garrison will be leading that session. I think Michelle may be joining us. Michelle Frechette, who is our youth exchange officer, she may or may not be here. I can't remember whether she's with us or not, but she may be joining. Then in membership, we'll have Willis Sharmer. He's a current president of the Roswell Club and incoming district membership chair. And joining him is John Morrison, who will become the Socorro president, but he's also what this year we're calling the extension chair. Next year, we're going to call it the new club development chair. And so they'll be talking on membership, leading that discussion. Tom Walker is with us to discuss the foundation. And in public image, we've got Eric Collins and Arturo Barrio are going to be discussing the public image chair responsibilities and best practices. And then we'll finish up with Jen Dresser, who's going to talk about service projects and how important that is in our district this year. And realize, we have all these together because each one of these areas feeds and helps the other areas. So they all work synergistically to have a wonderful program. So I'm going to turn it over now to Dick Jones to run our youth programs section.
Thank you, Governor Bob, and thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to speak today on our youth programs in District 5520. Let me share my screen. All right, I trust everyone can see my screen, and we're going to start talking about youth protection. Youth protection is paramount in District 5520. It is, if we don't want to grow our membership, having a youth incident would be the quickest way to stop that growth. But protecting the youth is very, very important in District 5520. And what I want to talk to today is your responsibilities as district leaders or club leadership and what you need to know in your club. First of all, you need to know what the district's policies and procedures are regarding youth protection. And we will get into that in more detail, and I will show you where all of that information is in just a little bit. You need to know the roles of the various members of the leadership team. We would highly recommend that you take the district's training courses so that you know how to recognize abuse and harassment. We want to incorporate the youth in not only our youth programs, but in as many club activities as we can. We were talking earlier about going out and cleaning up the river or cleaning up the highway. Well, it's great to have the youth go along with us, but we need to be aware that it's our responsibility to protect them during that time. And we do that by performing background checks and providing the proper training for everyone. So to work toward these goals, District 5520 has made sure that we incorporate our district policies incorporate the policies created by Rotary International. we have defined the role of our district leadership team, and I will share that briefly with you in a minute. And that we've outlined what the club officers and club youth protection officers should know. And we have assured that all these documents are readily and easily available, because in a situation where one of our young adults or young students or a child is at risk, it's going to be very important that you get to that material and those policies quickly and don't have to go digging through your office to find a privacy agreement or an incident report or something like that. You'll notice in the image that's a homepage of the district website that the youth protection button is highlighted and a drop-down menu is there. Those are all of our youth protection documents within the district. And we will talk briefly about those in a few minutes. This is the district's youth protection statement, which is the statement that RI and the board of directors adopted about 10 years ago. And you'll notice that it's our responsibility to protect the youth of the district, but not only ours, but people that we involve in these activities, spouses, partners, and other volunteers are all responsible for protecting the youth. Here is a list of the responsibilities of the district governor, and I'm not going to go through and read them for you because the booklet that we provide on the website spells all of this out, but know that they are defined. I am the youth protection officer, and I have roles and responsibilities that are defined for my position also. And those are all, again, on the website. Your first source of information in this area will be the program chairs, whether it's Youth Exchange, Interact, RILA. Your assistant governors are also a very good resource, and so are your lieutenant governors. They have gone through a course very similar to this at the AG and LG training. We trained on this at PETS, and we are in the process of encouraging all assistant governors and lieutenant governors to take and complete the training, because it is very important that you be able to recognize what abuse and harassment is when you have to deal with it. So for club and officers, again, you need to know what the policies are. They're on the web page. You should go and download all of those documents so that you have a hard copy that you can refer to, but always know that the latest edition of those documents will be on that page. Assure that your members are aware of their responsibility. And basically the responsibilities or the policy says that if anyone has repeated unaccompanied access to a youth, they should have completed the youth protection training. Now, if you have an exchange student, or if you have a kid that's in Interact and you need to take them to a meeting one time or take them home after a meeting, you can do that without violating the policies. However, if that's something that you do on a repeated basis, then you should go through that training. Be sure and coordinate all your activities with the district program chair. Youth Exchange has an extended range of guidelines because the child or the students have a much greater period of time that they are associated with the district and with their host families. And so we need, they have and because they're regulated by the US State Department, have a higher level of accountability there. And if you have problems or a question, I am here. I'll show you where you can find my contact information, but I stand ready to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we want you to understand and to be confident in sharing with the individual that is involved in a situation that you will keep this information private, but that the information is not necessarily confidential. The reason we make this distinction is if you are the Interact chair for your club and you become aware of a situation, you need to follow the procedure and talk to the person that has been involved. That information is not information that you will share with the board. It's not information that you will share with the club. You will share it only with those individuals that it's necessary to share with. Myself as Youth Protection Officer, your district governor, Rotary International, the appropriate law enforcement agencies. So you don't want to tell the victim that it's confidential, because it is not. It does have to be shared so that we can take the appropriate action. There are volunteer applications in that packet that I showed you on the website. To get your approval, all you have to do is fill out that application. It's good to confirm that the club members who are working with youth have an understanding of what they are supposed to do and that they too complete that application. We have a couple of sources that provide e-training for us. One is an organization called NIAN, which is associated with our Youth Exchange program. The other is on the Rotary Learning Center. And what we will do is we will assign one of these courses to you. The volunteer application is good for 1 year. So we ask that everyone go through the process of recertifying annually. And so we will have a number of courses available so that you don't have to repeat the same course. And I want to stress that anytime that you are made aware of a situation, the first question you should ask is the student safe? The safety of the child is our #1 priority. Enlarged image of the home page, you can see youth protection highlighted and all of the areas there. Our first page gives you an overview of all the documents and the latest revision date. It gives you the district's youth protection policy, we have a transportation policy that a lot of districts do not have. We are dealing, because we are such a large rural area, transportation is a big concern for us. So we have a set of transportation policies. We have reporting forms that are there. And most importantly, we have the current contact list that has all of our phone numbers, email addresses for the youth protection officer, for the district governor and the governor leadership team, and for our youth exchange, or for our youth programs. Those individuals are listed there. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute to see if you have any questions on the material that I've covered.
Yes, Dick, I do. Mark Goodman, Rotary Club of Albuquerque.
Yes.
Just to clarify for me, so you mentioned law enforcement. Are club presidents mandatory reporting officers, or does that fall to the district leadership?
The mandatory reporting requirement falls on the person that receives the firsthand knowledge of that incident. So it might not be the club president. It might be the one of the youth exchange officers, or if a situation were to happen at RILA, it might be the cabin counselor. So that responsibility does vary. One of the things that you need to know is that if you do have that situation, reach out to us and we will help you make that determination. Also know that we have media specialists that are Rotarians, both in the north part of the district and the south part of the district, that will serve as liaisons. If a situation arises, you as club president or any of your members should not be talking to the media. You should refer them to our media specialist.
Yeah, trust me, I would not talk to the media.
Yeah. Well, if you know how to talk to the media, you can quickly and truthfully answer their questions, so that it does not appear that we're trying to cover anything up, but you can prevent it from being elevated to a 2-day story.
Right.
You know, if we've had one situation that occurred, and by properly handling it, it made the 5 o'clock news. It was talked about by the reporter on the 5 o'clock news. By the 6 o'clock news, it was not a story anymore because it had been addressed properly.
Great, thank you.
Dick, hi.
Yes, Allison. Hi.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Dick, I have a question about going in and applying for, making your application online. How far ahead should one do that for the coming year? Thinking that and how long does it take?
Well, it takes, there's a lot of variables involved there.
Okay.
The first is what my schedule is. If I'm doing pets, it could take a week because of all the time devoted to pets. Typically, the background check can be completed within a week.
Okay.
By the time I receive it, I submit it, we get approval. Now that varies. And the other variable is you. If you have residencies in foreign countries, if there's gaps in your tax records or things like that, that can take a little bit longer time. But typically, we like to plan on about a week to 10 days.
Okay.
And particularly in the spring, when the RILA programs are getting started, we have as many as 40 different applications that have to be processed, and that does take some time. The second component then, before it's completed, is how long it takes you to go in and take the course and get that reported to me. Courses basically take about 30 minutes. The training courses take about 30 minutes to review the material. So it's fairly quick.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. This is Rochelle from the Albuquerque Del Norte Club.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
And I've been background checked every which way to Sunday, and I work in the school district, so I've been bonded. So outside of the course, if I can provide you with background check information, will that save you time, or do I need to go through this particular one specifically?
You need to go through this particular one specifically.
Okay.
We do not share or we do not accept other organizations' information.
Mhm.
I run the background checks for everything in the district except Youth Exchange, and Youth Exchange runs their own. And the reason, and we only share between our programs, we keep it within the district. The reason we do that is if I get a call, and I have had calls at 10:30 at night, I can go into my files and find the application for the person in question. And if I can pull that application out and look at it and assure you that that person had a clean check within the past 90 days or 9 months, I can sleep a lot better that night, and so can you. And it's just a safety precaution that we have implemented at the district level. Now, our checks are not necessarily the most thorough in the world. We don't get into a credit check or anything like that. But we do satisfy Rotary requirements. If you have concerns about Social Security numbers or anything like that, we have a protocol in place where you can get that information to me without actually entering it on the application and risking it being picked up off the internet.
I'd like to move on now to Past District Governor Dan Garrison. And if anybody, I forgot to mention this, I'm going to be monitoring the chat. So if a question comes up that you'd like it to be addressed, go ahead and put it in the chat, and then we'll catch it at the end.
Thank you, Bob. Just a comment on the last part. No one, very few entities will accept a background check done through another entity. And that is simply their own liability. And, it's a difference between first and secondhand knowledge. And it's just not something that that most will accept. And it's self-protection. Okay. Hey.
Can I interrupt just for a second? I'm sorry. There's
Sure.
a few people that were. Bruce, are you here? Bruce Davis?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any more? I guess not. Okay. Interact. First thing, Interact is subject to the youth protection policies. Interact is for youngsters 12 to 18. So that's middle school through high school ages. Most Interacts are school-based and in high schools, largely because they're more mobile, the high schoolers, and can get the projects and that kind of thing with less hassle. And it's only recently that it was extended from 14 to 12 years of age for Interact. And so we haven't had time to start the middle school ones. Okay, Interact is part of Rotary's attempt to expand our reach in the community. And it's viewed as a chance for the young people to be introduced to the ideas of service above self, ethics in business, leadership, and hopefully build a life of community involvement. There are other benefits that attach to a Rotary Club when they have an Interact. And number one is you get new ideas. And number two is you get help with new ideas about your old ideas. The Interactors help with Rotary projects. You help with theirs. So you get seen more in the community. So it helps spread Rotary in the community and the word of Rotary. So it's touching the public image, it's touching the service. They bring enthusiasm, energy, and an extended reach. If you don't know today's youngsters personally, I suggest you sit down and talk to some. And as I tell people, don't ask them about their favorite teacher or what's worst in the cafeteria. Ask them about their world and their place in it and their hopes for it. And I guarantee you, you will be amazed. The Interact is difficult in some cases to get started because you have to have the connections in the schools or whatever other group you're going to try to draw the Interactors from. I'm a former assistant superintendent, and it took us years to get an Interact started. And that's with the former superintendent helping. What we had to find were, in 1 year, we finally found a teacher who wanted to introduce kids to community service. And lo and behold, she had 2 friends that wanted the same thing. And they approached their principal, whom we had talked to, and he then called us and said, listen, I have some people who are interested in what you were talking about. And so we were able to get started. I told him, you have to have 25 kids before I'll submit a charter. The next week they called me and says, how about 53? So the kids are interested. They want to do things. They want to make a difference. And we can offer them some guidance in that community service. We can offer them guidance in terms of mentoring, in terms of leadership and approaching people and the things that make a difference. I think the benefits to a club are even greater than what we offer to the kids, to tell you the truth. I know they stepped in the first year they were in existence, and we do a pancake breakfast as our big fundraiser. Without any planning on this, the kids in the Interact took over the serving line and they served the entire breakfast. And that was like 4 hours. So that it's worth it. Yes, you do have to do background checks. Yes, you do have to go through the training, especially if you're going to be with kids where it's one-on-one. But that is for the protection of the youth. And that is, as we keep trying to get across to people, they're not only our best hope for the future, they're our only hope. So, questions about Interact? I'm that good? Okay, Allison. You're muted, Allison.
It's me again. I'm sorry. I'm always asking questions, but I wanted to say that we started our Interact Club up in Los Alamos, and it's taken us 4 years to get going. And part of the problem was we found a lot of seniors who were very keen to be members, but they move on. And then you're starting from scratch again. So a lot needs to be done to sort of catch the kids when they're younger.
Yes.
The other thing we found is that it was really important to have a lot of Rotarians as mentors to the club, because so often the teachers would lead the kids, and that's not what we were trying to achieve. Right. So we had to sort of step in and say, we don't want you teachers to work very hard. We want the kids to be working here. But so my question is, how do we find out the other Interact clubs so that we can all, because our club would like to reach out to others and see what they're up to and maybe interact with them, especially now that COVID is reaching.
We would like to do the same things.
Okay.
And right now we don't have a good handle on who has Interact. We've requested that information, but there have been no Interact chair this year. Okay, so I'm just kind of filling in because of my interest in youth.
Thank you.
Okay. One of the things we're doing and getting the younger kids is, one, having seniors talk to them. The other is the counselors, and in this particular school, take the kids as freshmen, then those counselors stay with them as sophomores and juniors and seniors, and then they take a freshman group again. So we work with the counselors to help introduce Interact as an important club in the school.
Yes.
But the other kids are the best recruits, and seniors they're problematic members, not in the sense of being a problem themselves, but they're seniors.
Yes.
They have senior things to do.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we don't want to step in and keep them from enjoying the full rights of, you know, a passage that are involved in that senior year.
Exactly. Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
this is Dick. One of the problems that we've had with getting a list of Interact clubs is that a lot of clubs start their Interact clubs and don't fill out the paperwork for RI. Since there's not a fee or anything like that involved, they do it on their own. And so they just put a group together and call it an Interact club, and there they go. Okay. A lot of times a club will shut down and not notify RI, or a committee chair will leave the club and the club doesn't realize that at one time they had an Interact club. We've had one club in the district that has started that has 2 different Interact clubs chartered at the same school because they did not know that they already had a club. We have a list. I worked on a list last year and surveyed a lot of the club presidents. And so it's partially okay, but it's really not that accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would I get the inaccurate list?
Send me
Sorry?
an email and I'll send it to you directly.
Thank you, Dick.
That, you
Appreciate
know,
it.
Okay,
for
I
any
have-
of those who do have an interact, our club has expressed an interest in doing Zooms with other interact clubs. You know, finding other ways to cooperate. Ours are very interested in a health clinic in Kenya. So, yeah, I mean, there are lots of opportunities we have if we just take advantage of it.
And we got a
I-
question from Debbie Cox. She's asking if there's a minimum size to start an Interact Club.
They suggest 20. Some schools, smaller schools may have a hard time getting that number. I don't think it's really a problem. 20 is a good number for a club to actually work. Less than that is usually you end up with 5 people doing everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's, and everything on the, if you go to Rotary.org and go into Interact, there is a list, there's a handbook for Interact, there's suggested, constitution, bylaws, the whole bit. It's right there. So it's not a difficult process. And you send the application in once you've met the requirements, and within a week, the club president, not you, the club president receives the charter back from RI.
Thanks, Dan. We'll go back to Dick Jones now. Dick, we have one more question on youth protection. Diane Thompson asked if they're holding a one-day event with youth attending, and there's going to be Rotary volunteering in that event. Do those Rotarians need to have a background check?
Not unless there's extended one-on-one contact between the student and the volunteer. The best thing to do in a situation like that would be to have a couple of Rotarians assigned to groups of students, so there's no one-on-one contact.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. That's a great answer. I appreciate that.
So we'll go back to Dick now. Dick has got a recording from Michelle Frechette, who's our youth exchange officer on youth exchange, and he's also going to comment on our 4-way test that we do every year, 4-way test program.
Okay, we'll get Michelle going here in just a second.
Good morning. This is Michelle Frechette, Chair of the Rotary Youth Exchange Program, and we're here today to discuss how the Youth Exchange Program works. So the whole point of the program is that exchange. Good morning. This is Michelle Frechette, Chair of the Rotary Youth Exchange Program, and we're here today to discuss how the Youth Exchange Program works. So the whole point of the program is that exchange students attend high school full-time as students. They do not attend any college classes, and they live with host families, typically between 1 and 3 host families. And the program has a broader purpose of basically building world ambassadors and helping those world ambassadors to help other people understand better cultural tolerance and understanding. The structure of youth exchange as it exists today is that the provisions are set out by Rotary International and the regulations of the U.S. State Department. In order to participate in youth exchange, the organization in question has to be a nonprofit organization, at least in the United States. And as Rotary exchanges abroad, there are requirements also abroad, very similar to the ones the U.S. State Department outlines here. You have to have students that are attending high school, not college. We have to train the volunteers in very specific ways so that they have very specific understanding of culture, people from other parts of the world, and how to manage the various details of having a teenager live in their home. We train the volunteers in the program as well so that they can adequately support both the student and the host families. We make sure that the club volunteers have monthly student contact, both with our students inbound in the United States and the outbound students. We ensure that those students are enrolled in a U.S. public or private school, and abroad, very similarly, they're enrolled in public or private school. In the inbounds, we'll have a J1 high school visa. The students abroad, also very similarly, will have an educational visa of whatever type that country requires. And the host family selection process includes background checks or an intensive screening process and documentation of orientation. The mission of the Youth Exchange Program is to further the Rotary goal of world peace and understanding. And since 1929, Rotary's been facilitating youth exchange programs. Over 80 countries usually participate. With the pandemic, we will probably have some downgrade in the number of countries or number of students exchanging, because it's been such a complex process, obviously, to have the students getting vaccinated and so forth. But we're hoping to still get back up to closer to 8,000 students in terms of the exchanges for 2022. The program is currently suspended due to the pandemic. The program is funded by Rotary, and then the students pay the cost of their exchange, so all the basic costs, their airfare and things like that. They receive free room and board. They receive a stipend from their hosting club, and they receive support from the Rotary Club members in terms of the volunteers who are counselors for them. The objectives of the program is that we're hoping the students will find out something new about themselves, their own culture and point of view. We hope they'll gain a much larger understanding of the world and learn a new language by total immersion. We hope they'll improve their self-image, their confidence, become more independent, and that they'll also, of course, be fulfilling Rotary Young Ambassador responsibilities, both in their club and in their hosting community. An inbound student is hosted in your club when you find 2 to 3 host families to host that student. You select that student somewhere between March 1st, usually in April 1st. You select a student from the pool of students that are available that come into our district committee's desktop, so to speak. And we will, with training materials, help you become ready for your student to arrive. You'll also be able to orient the host family with those similar materials, and you'll be able to select families that are appropriate for your club and your student. For an outbound student, we're going to search local high schools, talk to them. We're looking for students who are typically about a sophomore, and they will exchange when they're a junior, but there are students who are exchanging between the ages of 15 and 18 and a half when they actually travel. You'll be referring the students that you've interviewed in August and September of a particular year to our committee by about October 1st. And for each outbound student that you send to our district committee for sponsorship, you will have 2, for each student that you send outbound, you would have an inbound student as well. You can send as many as 2 outbound sometimes in terms of having just 1 inbound. This is the approximate club budget for youth exchange for a year. And these numbers are also available in the handouts which we have given you with the materials from the weekend. These are our current exchange countries. We exchange with these countries because they have a similar philosophy to our philosophy here in terms of how we handle students and how we supervise them, and our level of risk management is similar to many of these countries as well. We do have long-term relationships of anywhere from a decade to 3 decades with many of the districts we exchange with. but we obviously have wonderful students, and we get really excited about the friendships that they make. Host brothers and sisters and best friends in high school. It's a really magical process to see the development in the young people. So we really hope that you'll, in your club, create a program and you become a citizen of the world and youth exchange, and help families in your community and your school become more tolerant places in terms of our cultural awareness. You want to get at least 2 Rotarians, a youth exchange officer and another Rotarian, to have a committee in your club. And lots of people can help in the youth exchange process, being a host parent, having students over for dinner, or being supportive in the budget and the compliance processes that are needed to make sure that the students are safe and that everything goes well during the year. But the district committee thanks you very, very much for your support of this program. And please feel free to let myself or Dick Jones know if you have any questions, and we'd be happy to answer those. Have a great meeting today, and I'm sorry I'm not with you, but I'll talk to you all real soon. Thank you.
Dick, we have one question from Debbie Cox asking, who are the volunteers working in District Youth Exchange currently, and what do they do?
The volunteers are a committee, JP and Bianca in Roswell are part of the committee. Lorraine, and I'm going bad on names.
Lorraine Hewitt.
Lorraine Hewitt in El Paso. Sonny was a member of the team. Reg Ryder in Albuquerque is a member of the team. There are about 8 or 10 of some of the most dedicated Rotarians that you'll find, because when the program is running fully, they'll have 5 or 6 events a year that are 3 days at a time that they're spending and dedicating to the exchange students. Their responsibility is they start out by in October and November reviewing the applications for the outbound students. They have a couple of meetings with the student and their parents to start the selection process. In January, they meet again to get a better feel for the student. February, they announce the students and what country they'll visit. In June, they do an outbound orientation for the student and the parent to get them ready to leave. The students usually take off in late July or August for a 9-month stay in the country. It can be extended if they participate in some of the extracurricular activities. August is the time we start accepting our inbound students. They're responsible for getting them placed, getting them in their homes, making sure everything is ready for them to go to school, that they have accounts, banking accounts, that they have medical doctors if they need something like that. And they are required to have 6 meetings throughout the year. It ends up with the final meeting being the district conference, where they do a talent show. But the talent show is just that part of the meeting that we see. They're doing serious work behind the scenes in addition to their entertainment. So it's a very well-structured, very demanding program.
Thanks, Dick. And he's got, Dick, you're going to talk shortly on 4-way test. We are running fairly late right now. So if all our presenters would be succinct and as well as a question, if it can be answered offline, that's great. Otherwise, go ahead and ask your question in the chat and we'll address it as necessary. Thanks.
Before I go, let me just say that we will have the 4-way test essay contest again. starting in the fall. It was it suffered like all our youth programs this year, and we didn't get that much attention. So I know that Sarah is planning on getting it started early, working with the schools and the clubs to develop the program as much as possible. It's really great when we can have the student read the essay for us at the district conference and be there with us. So you as the club leadership need to start identifying schools that you want to work with, teachers that you want to work with, and be prepared to start receiving that material probably in September. And that's it for four-way test essay.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks. Now we'll move on to membership with Willis Sharma to lead off.
No, you have Bruce Davis with youth, Ryla.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it on my list. Is Bruce available?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Bruce, go ahead.
How long have I got?
About
Is
3 minutes.
Pardon me?
is it-
5 or 6?
minutes, right,
Let's
5
go.
minutes.
Okay, well, I really have a lot to report, even though we've been shut down due to COVID. In 2020, we were 60% or better towards having a camp, and we had all of our speakers lined up. We had half of the kids and so forth. And as you know, that was completely shut down. We waited as long as we possibly could this year, but the processes of our program are involved and they're timely. And in order to acquire the students we would need, which would be around 180 kids, with school not in session, that was going to be a tremendous challenge. So we took off and investigated having what is being called a virtual RILA around our zone. And we met with 5 other clubs trying to do that. In a nutshell, we found that they were having issues acquiring students. The largest program we found that was being successfully run was contracted by that club. So they had other people running it. They had an impressive agenda, but they were having problems. One being that the kids, after one session, some dropped out. They were so tired of just things on the internet and Zoom this, Zoom that. So they had their issues. We finally gave that up and decided to focus on our next year for RILA. So that will be July of the middle of July in 2022. The boys will be July 10 through 16. The girls will be 16 through 22. And we've got a great lineup of leadership for those camps. The girls will have co-chairs, and that's Alice Melberg from Del Norte Club and Joan Lewis from the Albuquerque Downtown Club for the girls. And Tony Pino, you all know from Del Sol, will be in control, or the leader of the boys camp. We are starting now with Zoom meetings. We've spent our time up until now. We've been busy. We've been having regular RILA meetings with the leadership. We met face to face with the Torrance County Emergency Response Group to talk about there would be odd for us to have to be evacuated from the camp, but those sort of issues, we're going through all of that, and we'll have a program actually put together. I'm sure we'll need some of your input, Dick, on youth protection and so forth. We're going to start having Zoom meetings addressing different aspects of RILA. But up until this point, we've also taken every activity we have and decided to publish for the counselors a reason for that activity. And after that activity is completed, how they'll debrief their kids in the cabin about what they should have for takeaways from every activity we do at camp. So we've been working on that. We've been very busy. So we will start having Zoom meetings. The first one will be mid-June. It will be for all previous counselors and staff. We want to talk about whatever they may have picked up on in 2019 when we did have a full camp, or anything they can think of that we may have not addressed up to this point. So that will begin mid-June, but thereafter we'll start having sessions, and we'll be letting all of you know what they are and when they will happen. We want to have one specifically geared to new counselors. We've never felt like we had enough time to train new counselors. It's always obviously worked out, but in this case, we can really jump into it and we can address any concerns, and the training will really pick up in that regard. But finally, and this is exciting, and I have to hand it to Shane Lamont for taking charge of this. We've talked many, many years about creating a foundation for RILA, specifically for RILA. We've had to take scholarships and run them through the Albuquerque Foundation in order to make them a 501(c) deductible gift to RILA, but more properly so that we could also include the tax we're paying each year on a lot of our equipment and so forth. And right now, this will easily save us $5,000 without question, $5,000 more to go to our program rather than taxes that we really should not have, being that we're a nonprofit, we should not have been paying. So Shane took charge of that. We have a bona fide legal, it's in place, the foundation, and you should have had your email from Governor Sonny about the different levels of giving. And if you haven't seen that yet, check into that. They're all levels. You can give to our logistic equipment type for a small amount, or you can give a scholarship. You can give a scholarship yearly, or even larger gifts. And they're all laid out in the description of our foundation. So I would say just RILA's been very busy, super excited. We're going to have the strongest RILA there has been once we're able to do so in 2022. Take any questions if y'all have time. Any questions at all? Well, we will be in touch.
Okay.
Join
Thanks,
some of our
Bruce.
Zoom meetings.
Appreciate it, Bruce.
Sure.
Okay, Willis, you got it for training, and we're leading up to a break here, so let's get going.
Sounds good. Let's get her done, huh? Well, I appreciate you all this morning. If you can, Jesse, if you can go ahead and put the presentation up, please.
Okay.
Unless you need me to share, either way.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. So this is a membership presentation. Go ahead and slide on to the next one. It's, as you guys can tell, it's kind of a time to start thinking out of the box from our keynote speaker this morning, as well as kind of how things have been going the last year or two. So we're always trying to gain new members for Rotary. The challenge of the incoming Rotary International President, Sheikh Narmeda, is for this year that you guys are training for, and his each one bring one philosophy. We really do need to think out of the box to grow the membership by 10%. Can we swap and see that video really quick, Jesse?
Sure.
It's fairly short. And then we'll just jump back to the presentation after the deal. So.
Can everybody hear?
Hello, Changemaker District Governors. I hope you like the theme. So now get ready to not only serve yourself, but also inspire others to serve to change lives. Today, my dear Changemakers, we will talk in detail about making the big change in the membership of our organization. 20 years back, when I was the district governor of my district, the membership of Rotary worldwide was 1.2 million. 10 years back, when I was elected to the board of Rotary, the membership of Rotary was still at 1.2 million. And now, 10 years later from that point, when I got elected to be the president of Rotary, the membership is still at 1.2 million. Don't you think it is time to change this? Don't we all want to change this? Can't the 1.2 million of us come together to make membership growth our individual responsibility and take the membership to at least 1.3 million? Let's do it by the end of your year as leader of your district, so that 10 years later, you may not have to repeat that Rotary's membership is still at 1.2 million. Friends, we are a membership-based organization, and members are our biggest asset. It is members who contribute to the Rotary Foundation or raise money for it. It is they who do good in the world by doing meaningful and impactful projects. It is they who have toiled for 35 years to bring us this close to eradicating polio. They are the ones who tell the story of our work to the entire world. Only with more members and more participants can we serve more and change more lives. It is membership that we all need to concentrate the most on during the forthcoming year. Our vision is to reach 1.3 million by 1st July of 2022. And our call to action is, each one bring one. This is not a difficult task, I'm sure, to share the gift of Rotary with just one additional person each. But for this to become a reality, it is you who will have to sharpen the focus in ensuring that the message, each one bring one, reaches every member. I repeat, I request every member in your district to share the gift of Rotary. And as each of us brings new members, let us focus on diversity and let us get more young members, female members to our club. Let us focus on Rotaractors becoming Rotarians. I also request every club to have a robust system for regular follow-up through the club president. Keep inspiring them, motivating them, ask them to lead the way. Communicate regularly, directly, or through the membership committee chair. Request that every club establishes goals in Rotary Club Central for club membership and new member sponsorship. Let bringing in member be a celebration at every club. Every new member will be welcomed with a personalized letter, and I will thank every sponsor of a member with a personalized thank you letter. And at the Rotary International level, we are designing additional ways to celebrate and recognize those who have demonstrated success in growing Rotary. We already do an excellent job in recognizing the generous financial contributions to our Rotary Foundation. Your efforts and the efforts of every sponsor of new members also deserves recognition. Let us have a virtual gallery that celebrates who have sponsored most number of new members. And this would be available for the entire Rotary world to see for posterity and be inspired. It will be virtual, so it will be possible to view from anywhere around the world by everyone within and outside Rotary. When you succeed in each one bring one friends, you will always be remembered as the change maker district governor, as you would have changed something in just 17 months what we have struggled to change for more than 17 years. Even as we welcome new members, we will strive hard to retain each and every existing and new member. When each one brings one, we are opening our front doors for large number of new members in every club. Let us also ensure that no member slips out of the back door. Engagement of members is as important as getting new members, because it is engagement that ensures members to stay. The pandemic has forced many clubs to innovate and adapt. They have found new and exciting ways of engaging members and other participants, and even re-engaging absentee or former members. We must ensure these innovations and changes to how we do Rotary continue even after the pandemic is behind us. My own club, Rotary Club of Calcutta Mahanagar, has had great virtual meetings. At one of our meetings, we had 2,400 attendees for a club with only 90 members. Friends, engagement at Rotary is at its peak. I'm aware of so many other clubs who have done amazing work in engaging Rotarians. Your district membership committee chair and assistant governors can play a huge role in retention. They can help clubs become strong and vibrant clubs. Strong and vibrant clubs surely ensure better engagement and better retention. So let each one bring one and let us retain all. And now, friends, the last segment of Grow Rotary, forming new clubs. New clubs have been a major source of getting members into Rotary. As Rotary has evolved, keeping pace with changing times, new options for flexible Rotary and Rotaract clubs are becoming more popular. While there is huge scope for traditional clubs, there is also a great opportunity for starting new flexible clubs. I would request each district to form at least 2 new Rotary clubs. I'm aware many districts form more than 10 to 15 clubs in a year. Please carry on with that great work. But to those districts who struggle to form clubs, I suggest a little effort and imagination may result into new and different types of clubs being formed. For example, there is an opportunity right now for virtual clubs. The pandemic has opened before us huge opportunities in the virtual world. Even hybrid clubs can be very effective. Satellite clubs have had success in some parts of the world. Cause-based clubs are just waiting to get started. A group of 40 people interested in water issues can come forward and form a club. Similarly, I am aware of a club back in India which is based on the cause of promoting art and culture. So music and art connoisseurs, singers, painters, musicians, dancers have come together and formed this wonderful club. Passport clubs do have a great future. With the world shrinking, even more so during the pandemic, courtesy the virtual platforms, global Rotary clubs are the next big thing to happen. They can offer greater flexibility and make Rotary more accessible and inclusive, especially very appealing to younger professionals, including Rotaractors. Let us also grow in areas where there are no clubs at all. Another way we can grow Rotary is to increase our presence in underrepresented communities. In some parts of the world, Rotary has a strong and very visible presence. But in others, the number of Rotary members is minuscule when you look at the population of those cities. There is tremendous opportunity for growth, especially where the density of Rotary membership in the population of the city is low. Even as we grow by increasing the membership of Rotarians, we also need to bring in Rotaractors. Rotaract now is a type of membership of Rotary, and the day is not far when we will speak of our global membership numbers as a collective sum of Rotarians and Rotaractors. I urge Rotaractors also to have similar plans to grow Rotaract by forming new Rotaract clubs. And also, each one bring one. So to have a 3-pronged approach towards membership, may I suggest that each district have a membership committee chaired by your most effective membership champion. This person leads a team of Rotarians and Rotaractors organized under 3 subcommittees, one each for attracting new members, as in each one bring one, the other for engaging and retaining existing members, and last for developing and nurturing new and different club models. Dear change makers, your district membership committee will be of great assistance to you in reaching out to your goals. So will be your assistant governors, the district Rotaract representatives, and the Rotary coordinators, the public image coordinators and their assistants. They are all there to assist you in any way to help you grow Rotary. I am sure with your leadership and our focus to grow Rotary, the target of 1.3 million is not going to be difficult for you, the change makers. Together, we can, and together we will.
Cool. Well, as we're switching over to the next slide here, obviously quite a lofty goal, especially past what we've been doing in the past. But I think with a lot of the work of the folks in each club, we can attain that. I know John is going to speak a little bit on getting more clubs going. And so I'll kind of just sneak through some of this stuff. By the way, this presentation will be up on the district website. So feel free to look at it, grab it, whatever you need to do. I think you guys have seen most of these statistics today. So we'll go ahead and slide down to the next slide. If you are going to be the membership chair for your club this year coming up, you are obviously doing the first responsibility, which is attend your district training. Make sure you work with your president-elect and select and prepare some committee members in your club. If you're a smaller club, obviously it's probably you. There are links off of those URLs that are under the membership, like the membership assessment tools. My Rotary is down for another 45 minutes, I believe, on rotary.org. So you can go through those and take a look at them as you go to the website. You certainly want to meet regularly and plan activities with the folks in the leaders in your club that need to work towards getting new members, and you want to set goals. You certainly want to manage your budget, whatever it is, for getting working towards your higher membership. Work with the other clubs committees that you're learning about today, and also district committees, and report those activities back to your membership and to the board, the president, and the entire club. And then determine your club's expectations for your committee. One thing that's not on here is, work, if you need to work towards getting a satellite club or a Rotaract club going, that is certainly something that John will be talking about. Okay, next slide, if you don't mind, please. This document is in the district and RI sites. This is a nice thing to show to your membership so that you can get them interested and incited in moving forward with more members. Next slide. There's a bunch of membership types. There was a traditional way that has been changed over the last few years. Great way to offer different memberships types is family or partners. Just have your family or partners come to whatever you do for your projects, to the meetings. I know we've had a lot of folks do that pre-COVID and even during COVID in our club. Corporate and nonprofit members, just make sure that you keep all of the businesses in your area interested and providing more folks. And also, like we had talked about a little earlier in the earlier sessions, corporations can have their own clubs. Associate members, some clubs are using them to use Rotary to try and see if they like or want to become a full member. Friends of Rotary, there's folks that may be interested in Rotary but not ready to commit to a club, and they're willing to work on a service project or some other project that's going on with the district or between clubs. Younger professionals, encourage them to join the club, perhaps at a subsidized rate for a certain period of time. Our club has a two-tiered system, so a lot of folks that are younger, starting families, may not have the money to be able to join and pay for a full Rotary membership. And so we have changed our bylaws to allow a second tier member. So there are no set rules as put out by Rotary about the requirements of each membership type. You can create a number of different types that your club wants to do.
Yeah, Willis, in Socorro, we have New Mexico Tech and the local hospital as corporate members, and they're not limited in how many people can come and join us in the meetings.
That's great, especially the bigger cities. That's a very good thing. Even the smaller cities, like you said, a hospital or one of the bigger employers, or even school districts, that kind of thing. Our district has a goal for growing Rotaract clubs by 4. You can use this as a challenge to get more members, and John will speak more about that. It's up to your club to decide how you report these members to Rotary International. And if you ever have questions on that, you can contact any of the district folks. Remember, even if you aren't a president upcoming, you can still talk with the AGs and LGs in your area, and they are listed on the district website.
Willis, can you describe in more detail what you mean by an associate member?
It's kind of a more try before you buy type of membership. So you can, you can create it however you want. I'm not sure if that helps at all. I don't think it does.
Willis, do you have different dues structures for each membership type?
For Rotary International, it's really up to the club and how they're set up and how their bylaws are set up. But yes, you're basically either a member or as long as Rotary dues are paid and the district dues are paid for each person, you can set it up however you want. Because like our club, basically a young professional just doesn't pay for lunch. So they come and they have a chance to, bring their lunch with them, because the lunch is for a lot of clubs, the lunch expense is a lot of the expense. The Rotary dues and the district dues are really not a tremendous amount for each member.
Right.
Like if we could, because we're running along here, we're not, Willis didn't run long, but the program is, if we could hold our questions or just put them in a chat and we'll address them down the road or offline, but we really need to move on.
Certainly. Thank you, Governor Bob. So next slide, if we could, please. So how to keep and grow your membership. Have your activities, projects, programs, and meetings consistent with the core values. And of course, very importantly, if you keep religion, politics, and biases out, you can certainly include more folks, which is a very big push by Rotary to be very inclusive and supportive. And make sure that the projects that you do, make sure that the projects that you do are relevant, efficient, and of course, fun. And try and be innovative in your projects. A great way to get people involved in Rotary is to ask and bring and include. So you go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Just remember that big things matter and tiny things matter. An innovative due structure in our meeting time and place may be very important to some folks that you're trying to bring on. For example, you can shift to 2 or 3 meetings per month. One is an evening meeting or a casual or happy hour meeting. The traditional Rotary, you got to be there for lunch or breakfast, doesn't have to define your club or a club that you're trying to initiate through your club. One hands-on project per month instead of a meeting might be a good way to bring more people in. I was just part of a recent discussion of how people got into Rotary, and a lot of folks that joined later they didn't know Rotary existed and they weren't asked. And that's the big thing, is bring folks in and simply do the ask. Next, please. Understand your target market. Just remember, the club should be aware that its time is super valuable to each person in the club or somebody you're trying to bring on. They're sacrificing or giving up time with family or career to be at a regular meeting, committee meeting, fundraiser, or project. Possibly the biggest reason people leave or don't join is a time constraint. If members feel their time is not respected at meetings, they might not stick around. Busy professionals in their 30s and 40s are also often at a time in their career when they are looking to expand their professional circle. They have time and skills and inclination to expand their acquaintance network with the opportunity for service. I'm sure that sounds familiar to everybody. Getting back to the 50-year-old plus category that we were talking about with the keynote speaker, they're the foundation of the organization and crucial. Please remember that. Value them and use all their talent and skills and wisdom. But they are not the most important place for new membership growth efforts. The 20-year-olds are excellent members when you can find them, but many of them are not in a place in their lives and careers that allows for commitment. Some are, so welcome them. And if we can move to the next. Be inviting and inclusive. These things that are highlighted they are all very fun and are very important, as you guys know. Plan time to have the club socialize with spouses, partners, co-workers, friends, and family members, and guests and prospective members. Can you find projects that are meaningful but also fun? Next, please. Make sure everyone knows they are welcome. Put it prominently in the invitation or the Facebook post or whatever kind of invitation you're using. Make events free or cheap for guests. This will help involve the community. You know, there are some unavoidable reasons for people, and it's job schedules, health, and move out of town. So make sure moving out of town. So make sure all these folks are included. Folks that we don't think of that are Rotarians would probably make excellent Rotarians. And just kind of think about that as you go through your days of, gee, who might be good? Next, please. New member invitations. Be inviting, obviously. Use taglines for every advertisement, email, flyer, and Facebook post that the club does. Make sure you download the latest approved branding from both the district and international sites for anything you put out. That's a big push by Rotary to use the logo that you see in the top left-hand screen. And I know Arturo and all of his committee are working hard to make sure, and if I remember right, each member does have, or each club does have that available on their site. So you can contact Arturo or any of his folks to get that information, and that's on the district website. Next, please. Membership club events. Make them your club signature events. Think of local events you've heard of that people love and that are well attended. I know from the president's, I'm going to make a plug for the President's Council meetings. And although not everybody is a president here or a president-elect coming in, presidents can't always make those meetings. And they are now becoming, I think we're trying to really make those part of the fabric of District 5520. And with that, you can, especially in the remote areas, which, down in southeastern New Mexico, we were just talking about, well, if we all met together for a president's meeting, well, for some people, that's a 5-hour drive. So one way. And so even if we met in the middle, so you guys understand, we're all from a place that's rather remote, but get into that President's Council meeting group and start learning. And there's a lot of good exchange of ideas that have happened for many years in the Albuquerque area and the El Paso area. And now we're trying to bring it to the rest of the district. So get involved in that. Even if you aren't the president, it's a good thing to get in and listen to and understand. As far as club events, examples could be pets, classic cars, crafts, art, music, kids, food-based festivals, and sports events, obviously, as the world opens up. I know that there was a really good fundraiser in Albuquerque, I think the last few weeks, a telethon. Excellent idea. Next, please. There are many resources for you at the district level. Make sure that you guys can get into Club Runner, even as a chair. You can see a lot. Get into Rotary5520.org. There is a whole drop down on resources for membership, as well as all the other avenues of service. So so follow up on membership leads. That's very important. They are going to be coming from the district, a lot of them will come, from the website, will come to me and Governor Bob, I believe, and we will be pushing those to you guys so that you can act on the leads. Meet and know your assistant and lieutenant governors. Even if you aren't the president, it's still important to know those resources because your president may not always be available. Okay, next. Rotary is about service. The mission to grow Rotary to better serve the community the mission is to grow Rotary to better serve the community and the world. You and your team are the key to unlock your club's potential. Really, that's a very powerful statement. Next one, please. Now that we've discovered Rotary and why we're Rotarians, we come to the ask. And you've seen the video, and you can get that on Rotary.org if you want to show it to your club. And then we've all been given a great gift in Rotary. This slide is pretty self-explanatory. We're here to serve others.
Yeah, and I would like to add to the ask. I know I've told the story to Willis, but one of my best friends is the librarian at New Mexico Tech. And so I invited him to do a program for us. And he said, well, I used to be a Rotarian. And so now I've asked him to join us, but he's been here for years, and I just never thought to ask him. And so it is, don't be afraid to ask people to come and visit you at Rotary, especially if you think it's somebody could be a good addition to the club.
Excellent. Thanks, John. And we're about ready we've got the next slide is a quick little video. if that's working correctly.
That's
If it's not,
the one that never worked.
okay, and that's fine. It's I will put this on the website, or it's already on the Rotary website, and we can it's the top 5 Rotary membership myths exposed. So we'll put out a link for that so that you guys can get to it on the district site. And if you have questions about it, I think we'll there are some questions on, can we get a copy of this PowerPoint? Certainly we can. That will be available on the website. So trying to get here. And that's a good point from District Governor Sonny. Don't forget that when members move, we've had 2 members come in this year that have moved into our community and have reached out to us, which is very nice. It's real easy way to get new members, but make sure that you include them and don't just say, well, there's just another Rotarian. They are new to your club, so make sure that you include and grow them. So we can probably hold questions till the end here for John's presentation. My contact is in the next, so feel free to grab that. And
Willis, if you would address some of the chat questions during the following presentations, that would be helpful as well.
yes, we'll do that. Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to talk just a little bit about 2 opportunities to really grow your clubs. One thing that I'm trying to get everybody to look at is the idea of a satellite club. And satellite clubs are part of your club. They just meet at a different time. And if you know, like here in Socorro, I've got a lot of young kids. I say young kids because they're younger than I am, but they work and they can't meet when we meet. And so we're looking at starting a satellite club for them. And all you need is just eight members to start that. They count as part of your club's membership. They just meet at a different time. And they have their own bylaws. They'll have their own little president and everything, but they are part of your club. And the way we're looking at setting up ours is that they'll meet twice a month, once to plan projects, and the second time we'll be doing projects. That's the goal. So. But if you have any questions about satellite clubs, just feel free to contact me. My contact information will be at the end of the presentation. But next slide. But here's a little information about it. There's no fees as far as meals. Sometimes you may meet at somebody's house, or you might meet at a bar, or you might meet out at a park or something. You can meet pretty much anywhere you want to, as long as you get the word out. And those members, will help you, the main club, in their projects. So, but it's the quickest way that I can see to grow your club is to reach out to those individuals in the community who can't meet when the main club meets, and see about starting a satellite club. Next slide, please. Well, before we get to Rotaract, well, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about Rotaract. Rotaract is Rotary in action. It is the 18 to 30-year-old kids, excuse me, and it's a good introduction for them to get into service. We're starting to look at starting one here at New Mexico Tech. I have one former exchange student who's a Rotarian who's interested in getting it started. And so the district has right now the person who's working on Rotaract is Luisa Sanchez, and she's down in El Paso. There's going to be a new person. All she gets said his name is Isaac. I don't have his contact information, but we'll get that out. If you're interested in starting a Rotaract club, they were the people who have the wealth of information. They've done it. They know how to do it. But it's a good way to get young kids involved in Rotary. And once they get to be 30, hopefully they will be joining your club. They are the ones that have all the energy. So if you could get one started, it would be a challenge to your club to keep up with them. Next slide. Here's my email. I thought I'd put my phone number on. My phone number is 575-418-1655. And but I have a challenge to every club. If you set up a satellite club, or if you help start a Rotaract club, Bob Roush and I will both put in $100 toward the Rotary Foundation, above what we normally give. So that's the challenge. Let's see how many clubs we can get started. Let's see how much we can really grow the district. Being a part of Rotary, I just can't see how there's such a small percentage of the population are Rotarians in our district. And I just don't, we just have to get the word out, and we have to grow. We have fun. We do a lot of good service. And that's about all I have to say.
Well, thanks, John and Willis. My 2 cents. Everybody's heard, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. And when you grow, you have more assets, you have more people, you have more energy, more of everything. When you're shrinking, you're losing those resources and your ability to affect positive, lasting change in your community and around the world. And so growth really has a lot of impact in all areas of Rotary. And so I really encourage you to continue to push that in your clubs, to grow your membership through innovative measures. So we are. I'm going to make a gubernatorial decision here to shorten our break to just a 5-minute stretch break, and then we'll get back here and we'll move on to foundation. So if we could get back together again at 11:50, we'll move on and hopefully we'll be making up some time. So we'll see you at 11:50.
So Jess, you ready? Hey, I guess you are.
Yep, just lining up the screen for you.
Uh,
Did you want to show this, or this was just for me?
Actually, I'm going, you can leave that up there. I'm going to briefly introduce all that material. So, and on my computer, Zoom is half the screen, and then these documents are on the other half of the screen, so I actually see them and move through them. So,
Right. And on yours, if you've got half and half, you can slide the divider so you
yeah.
see one side or the other bigger. Okay.
Well, I've got a 27-inch monitor, so I can basically put Zoom up and still read it and see, and then the other documents, and I'll take them down as we go. So that's more for my edification than anybody else's.
Okay. So I'm just going to make sure I'm set up to
Yep, there we go.
do these in the order you had them.
And the manual one will start out on the cover page and then slide down.
Okay.
Page for sheet 4. And if you want to stop it, I think it's sheet 2 that has the table of contents on it on the handbook. Let me look.
Well, we go to this one, which was page.
That's page 1. Go up 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, go up 1, that one right there.
Yeah, and there's the table of contents.
So you want to start there?
No, we'll start on the cover page just so.
Okay, got it. So we'll go cover page to contents
and then
to that, right?
That's it. As you're probably aware, if we were covering everything that ought to be covered, we'd be going late into the night. So.
Yeah, we need at least 15 minutes more, right?
What we did in November, I think, was 2.5 hours or something. But
yeah.
Governor Tom, your audio is a bit muted, so you might have to speak up a bit.
Well, that means I have to talk next to the microphone.
Okay.
It's as high as it'll go. So
yeah. Well, we'll get started now. Governor Tom has just joined us in the last hour or so, and he's currently our district foundation chair. He is also moving in, or has moved into a zone position as the Zone 26 Endowment and Major Gift advisor. And we want to congratulate him. Many of you may not know, some of you may not know, many of us do, that he was recognized with a very prestigious Service Above Self Award by Rotary International, which is an amazing accomplishment and recognition of the services he's provided Rotary over the many, many years. So we're very, very blessed to have him in our district. And so I'm going to turn it over to him to talk about running the foundation from the club level. Tom.
Good morning, Rotarians. Just in case you haven't learned every bit of Rotary acronyms and so forth, EMGA stands for Endowment Major Gifts Advisor, and I didn't know what it was either until I got the phone call. This morning, we will be talking about training and preparing club foundation committee chairs for their assignment this coming year. As you're probably aware, if we covered everything related to the Rotary Foundation, it'd take a lot longer than we have. So I won't be trying to sell you on the Rotary Foundation. I won't be telling you the history of it. Although the references we will be using today will in fact provide you with a lot of information. And as we wrap the session, Jesse will show you the secret store of knowledge that nobody knows about. The goals for this section are first to provide information that will enable you to be an effective club foundation committee chair. And I recognize in some clubs that person is called by another name. In my club, it's foundation liaison. So whatever you're called, the person that does the foundation stuff in your club. Secondly, we're going to identify resources that you will need to access to do your job. And lastly, identify sources of support in accomplishing this assignment. And the documents we will be using this morning were sent out by Jeff yesterday morning. And if you have not downloaded them, please do. And I think as we go through them, you may actually want to print them off because they have a lot of material in there. So the first question is, what are my responsibilities? Jess, would you put up there it is. There is a manual, and this is the most current one. It's the Rotary Foundation Committee, and this is the last one they put out. And despite the fact that it's been superseded, it is still very good. And while it may not have projects of scale and disaster response grants in it, it has the information you'll need to do the job. Slide down there. This is a list of the table of contents. And we will not be going through this. I would recommend that you do. It's near all inclusive. And so what is your job? Well, you are to promote foundation grants and activities and help members participate in them. You're to inspire club members to give to the Rotary Foundation. That's called fundraising. You're to either attend grant management training to qualify your club for grants, or talk to the president-elect about finding the people that will. And as you recall, our grant management training was completed about 3 or 4 weeks ago. You're to oversee the qualification process for global grants. And again, that's part of the grant management training. Conduct inspirational foundation focused club programs at least 4 times a year. And I would suggest that you have, and it doesn't have to be a program, it can be a several minute clip, or recognizing your Paul Harris Fellows, or something at least once a month. Remember, at every meeting, there are guests and potential members. Plus you have your Rotary members, and they need to know what is going on with your club and the Rotary Foundation. Because if they know, getting people to support the Rotary Foundation will be a lot easier. You're supposed to work with your treasurer to manage any grant funds that you receive. That's the district grant funds. And if you actually happen to be hosting a global grant, but also you'll want to work with the treasurer to make sure that the funds that your members contribute get where they're going in the Rotary Foundation. And lastly, as we've been talking about this entire year, the Rotary Foundation does not exist in isolation. You must work with the membership committee, the service project committee, and the branding committee when you're developing projects and funding them. So who's there to help you?
You wanted this one?
That's the one. Okay. And when you do the download, you'll see that page 1 and page 2 look remarkably similar. And that's because, okay, back to the first one. I have never yet figured out how to draw a line in Microsoft Word. So I had to do it the old fashioned way. And so this is a scan. So what you have before you are the key people in your district's foundation committee. Past district governor Linda Woodward will be the foundation chair starting the 1st of July. And you go down the left-hand side, branch chairs, Peter Falley, stewardship is Ann Scott, Mark Abramson is Paul Harris Society, Allison Pennell does Peace Fellows and Scholarships, Triple Crown Circle is Rick Akins. And then over on the right are the committee people that you want to be talking to. If you're working with global grants, it's Bob Reed, Deborah Simon, and Nelson. If you're working with polio, it's Nikki McDonald, Tanya McKinney, and Sandra Seligman. Below that is the Endowment Major Gifts Committee. Sonny Brown has agreed to head that up. And down at the bottom, we have Martin Gomez is heading up the by-district conference. And you're wondering why a zone guy is on there. Turns out endowments, I work with each of my 16 districts endowment major gifts committees. So I'm a resource for you. Let's go down to page 3 here. So one of the things that said you ought to have 4 programs a year. Well, a famous Rotarian that actually did a really good job as club foundation chair, laid out a sample calendar of things that you ought to consider putting in there. And this is just the first page. Next page is the rest of the year, Rotary year. So as you think about it, you'll want to work with your program chair. You want to work with your president and probably your club secretary on how to put all these things together. You'll probably want to schedule recognition events for your Paul Harris Fellows or Paul Harris Society people. If somebody reaches major donor level and so forth. So one last thing down there under other, I would suggest if you're sending money by mail to the Rotary Foundation, that you ought to try to get it in the mail by June the 7th to allow time for it to get there and be reflected. If you do it online, they normally do it same day or next day. So if you do it by credit card that way, you have more time. So now let's look at the mother load. Notice this is the resource guide for zones 26 and 27. It is a download that is available to you off of the Big West website. It is created and maintained by Rotary staffer that actually supports our district, Jeff Cochran. He's the annual giving officer. And the next 17 pages is probably more than you ever knew existed about the Rotary Foundation. So let's kind of walk through this. You can see the table of contents, the kind of stuff is there. And by the way, it's all active link, so you can skip to the bottom if you know where you're going. Okay, next. Now, we talked about fundraising, and fundraising scares a lot of people. But if you look at this page and the next page, it kind of walks you through here. And it talks about contribute now, how you do that, how you sign up for Rotary Direct. What's this Paul Harris Society thing and how do I join it? What's the Bequest Society and how do I get involved in that? And again, you have people at the district level that can help you out with that stuff. But you can find out a lot just by going through this. Acknowledge giving and say thank you. Educate. We're committed to transparency. Next. And by the way, those are all active links in there. That would work if the website was up this morning. Show Rotary's impact. That's why I suggest at least once a month you tell the story about what's going on with your district grant, what's going on with those global grants that your club is participating in. And if you're not participating in any of those, in a second, I'll give you a bunch of video clips that you can use and ask people to give. Next. Now, sometimes as president or as foundation chair, somebody will receive a Paul Harris Fellow in recognition of their giving. And up at the top are these quote scripts for each of those events. Those are the suggested remarks by the Rotary Foundation. Okay. Videos to inspire. Just mentioned that. These are all available. Notice that there are several thank yous in there, transforming the world and so forth. If your issue is polio, there's a whole bunch of videos there. And resources at the bottom of the page there. The Foundation Resource Guide is a nice little booklet that pretty well summarizes everything you need to know. I actually, as governor, had a copy made for every one of my assistant governors and presidents-elect. Various forms you're going to need. Individual contribution form. If somebody just wrote the Rotary Foundation a check for $1,000, you're probably going to want to use that form. If you're sending in your club's polio eradication money, you might use the multiple donor form. But anyway, those are resources. Next. Rotary Direct. Probably one of Rotary's best kept secrets among many, but here it is. It explains what it is. There's a copy of the form there, how to set it up online, and all those sorts of information that you will need to know about that. Next. Paul Harris Society, what is that? Remember, Mark Abramson is the district chair. Lots of information. And notice down here, about 2/3 of the way down, it talks about the Paul Harris Society report. When you are assigned, please make sure that as foundation chair, please make sure that you are in the Rotary database as your club's foundation chair. If you are, you can access all kinds of reports, including the Paul Harris Society report. And to be honest, a lot of people get confused by that, but notice in that description at the bottom of the page, it tells you how to read the report, what it means. Next. What sorts of recognition are available? And this walks you through them. Sustaining member, what's a Paul Harris Fellow? Certificate of appreciation. Major donor. Arch Clump Society, Bequest Society, Legacy Society. Did you even know we have a Legacy Society? Well, that'll tell you about it. And it shows you all the appropriate hardware that goes along with that. So if besides the fact that you can't figure out all the acronyms for Rotary, and you also can't figure out the pins either, so that'll help you. Next. Club banners. You know, there's all kinds of banners that every club is able to get, and there is a banner report. And again, there are links up there that talk about it. And this thing talks about all the different kinds of banners. And these are the things that Governor Sonny and soon to be Governor Bob will be mailing out to all the clubs that qualify if they don't personally deliver them. They typically come out, get sent out in October or November. Next. Okay. What is a foundation recognition point? Another one of Rotary's secrets. Basically, every time that a member of ours contributes to the annual fund, the polio plus campaign, or a global grant, you gain points, which are kind of like coupon points, toward, of equal amount to what you gave. And those points, unfortunately, you cannot print them out and take them down to the gas station or the grocery store or any place else. They have one function in life. You give them to somebody else to help them be a Paul Harris Fellow. And down at the bottom of the page there is probably the Club Foundation Chair's #1 document that they'll use. Is called the Club Recognition Summary. A lot of times it's referred to as the CRS, and it tells you how to read it. And so if I had 1,000 points, I could give those 1,000 points to Governor Bob and give him a Paul Harris Fellow. The minimum transfer amount is 100. Okay, next. Here are some other reports. Again, there's the Club Recognition Summary, and notice there's a summary guide on how to read the thing. Club Foundation Banner Report, and a guide on how to read it. The report that I use every day is the monthly contribution report, and there's a guide how to read it. And you can get all of these if you are designated as the Club Foundation Chair. Next.
Tom, does the president have access to that also?
By default, the president and the secretary, and maybe the treasurer.
Thank you.
But the foundation chair has to be authorized. And then this one just gives you a list of reports and what format they are available in when you download them. Okay. Okay. Now, all of those reports you can get to in a variety of ways. Normally, I get to it through my Rotary, but a lot of them you can get to through Club Central. That's where you go in to see what your club is doing. And here you actually have down at the bottom, it says what kind of reports are there and who can see them. Obviously, you can see, everybody can see their own donor history report. And you go down through some of the other ones, you notice that leaders can see things that members cannot. And there is one more report that does not appear anywhere. You have to ask for it. And club presidents can ask for it, secretaries can ask for it, foundation chairs, if they're authorized, can ask for it. And it's called Contribution Details for Clubs and Districts. And what that does, it lists every contribution from your club in whatever span that you ask for it. Obviously, Rotary is very sensitive to information like that, and that needs to be handled extremely carefully. So it's not something that you post on the bulletin board. Okay, bunch of hyperlinks to get documents. And I have to tell you, I love Rotary, but I hate its search function. So things like this really make my life easier. Next. If you wondered what the Big West is, well, here's a map of it. And as you see, there's a little dash line, and that's the dividing line. And it looks like it was redistricting in progress, but it's all about membership. And New Mexico doesn't look like it, but it's actually bigger on the in real life than Montana is. Next. Okay. Besides the district leaders, you know, you got your governor, you got your foundation chair, your foundation committee chairs, and their subcommittee. There are people at zone, and remember, a zone is a collection of districts that are also working in this area. For Zone 26 is where we are. Kevin Padilla is the Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator. And the foundation chair and the governor will work with him, or primarily one of his assistants, in this case, Susan Brents from 5730 Texas, east of us. And he is kind of like the zone foundation chair. And he has a bunch of assistants. Then there's his endowment guy, me. I have no assistants. And Greg Owen is our zone polio guy. So the polio people and the foundation chair will be working with Greg and Bob and Win Spiller and me. It turns out that the zone organization, EMGAs and polio people are pretty much interchangeable, except for I can't see Win's clubs and she can't see mine. Next. How about the headquarters staff? And again, for club secretaries, who's your club and district support? Well, it's James D'Amato. Who's his assistant? Nick Taylor. Who's your membership person? Julie Aubrey. You're in Polio now, Polio Plus, and so forth. Steve Lyons. If you have a question about share, Steve Lyons is the guy to go to. Now, if you're doing global grants and you're trying to put one together, or you have a question about it, the person that you want to talk to down there is in the lower left, Cecilia Walter. And if you can't get a hold of Cecilia, above that is Renee Riley. And they are very supportive. And there are major giving officers. 3 of them support me in Zone 26. Eric Thompson covers our district. So if you have $100,000 or something that's burning a hole in your pocket, if you don't want to talk to me, you can talk to him. Also, Beth Garrow covers Hawaii and Southern California and Arizona, and James Sewell is Northern Nevada. Annual giving officer, and the guy that put this together is Jeff Cochran, and planned giving and so forth, Karina Bierman. Again, these are all people we work with. Next. I think that's it.
Yes.
Now, Jesse, would you go to the district website and access the foundation's section? And are there any questions right now while Jess is bringing that up? By the way, that was like an 18-inch fire hose you just got. So please download the basic material and go through it. And then, okay, so you see Rotary Foundation. Well, one of the things that you're going to want to take a look at is you see it's Foundation Training 2020. And there are the 3 presentations from last November. The first one is from Brad Howard talking about polio. The second one is me talking about endowments and gifts. And lastly, Linda Woodward. And once you enter there, it will give you the links to YouTube where these things exist. Also, if you're going to do your some foundation training. Right above that, you see his annual foundation committee report. And that was the same thing that we talked about at district conference. So there's lots of stuff there. Your baselines for the coming year district grants are there. That's the second one. And again, you don't have to log in to get to this. Questions, please. I think I made my 30 minutes.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Governor Tom. That was awesome. As you know, as you've seen, as you probably realize, the foundation has a lot of moving parts, and your club is going to rely on you to manage those pieces and parts and be the interpreter and make sure people are getting recognized for their generosity, and encouraging the clubs to be generous so they can have more resources to affect change in their community and around the world. So thanks, Governor Tom, again for laying that out for us. And now we'll move on to public image and branding with Arturo and Eric. Thank you.
I'm excited to kind of be stepping in for Arturo. He's also here. He wasn't originally going to be.
Okay.
But we are going to just kind of do a quick and dirty through the public image and branding. We really want to just talk about how public image is really the backbone to everything else that Rotary does. And we want to get your thoughts and opinions. This PowerPoint will be shared. I'll get with Jeff to make sure everybody has a copy of it. And every photo from this presentation came directly from Brand Center. So you have access to all of these great images that Rotary has given us. So right now, the objectives were to gain a clear understanding of your responsibilities, understand how Rotary Brand Center can support you, figure out how public image supports membership, foundation, service projects, and youth initiatives, and understand the brand fidelity campaign from Rotary International. What we're really going to focus on are 3 and 4 today. So I'm going to go ahead and roll through to that. All right, so public image is used to support other committees in your organization. It is really the underlying current that develops the other things. Without a good public image, without a strong public image, it's hard to bring in new members. It's hard to bring in money to the foundation. It's hard to do service projects and have them repeat and be successful. And it's hard to really get out and involve the youth. And your goals for public image should focus on promoting your core work of Rotary. Public image of Rotary isn't just the logo. It's not the wheel. It's how does the community see you and your club and what you're doing for your community. And you should always ensure that you're striving to be an inviting and a vibrant club. So the setup for this is I'm going to stop sharing, and we'd like to have a conversation with you all about how do you use public image to support membership, to support public or service projects and youth initiatives and the foundation. So if anybody has something they want to share about what their club does well, or you think your club does well, about how you use public image to support the core work of Rotary. And I don't think you have
we have somebody that does a good job with Facebook and puts out any events and stuff on Facebook and has a lot of followers because of her job. And so we're doing well with that.
Good. And Facebook's incredibly important, especially for the middle of the age zone. And that seems to be the most popular place where people find information. So it's great to have that as your strongest presence. And it's also good to share what you're doing in Rotary with all your friends. Everybody in your community should like your Facebook page and see what it is that you're doing.
Eric, if I may jump in, we're posting a lot of information on the different social media. We will greatly appreciate if you can share it with your personal, because, you know, we only have so many Facebook pages from our district, but if we multiply that for the number of members, we will have a greater reach. So all the projects, all the initiatives will get a better reach. If y'all can just share, like and share so that people can see what we're doing. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Anybody else? What else are we doing?
Eric, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your view of the importance of the web page for a club these days?
I think anymore, if you don't have a web page that's inviting and up to date, you're dead in the water. That's just kind of where we are as a society. People are going to look there first. They're going to, you know, if you move to a new town and you're interested in Rotary, you're going to Google, hey, Rotary clubs in my area. And if no one has a page that is inviting and up to date, you're going to lose that person as a potential member. So it's important to make sure that you have a page that follows Rotary's guidelines, that's up to date, and that makes people curious about what it is that you do.
And in that regard, it also applies to the Facebook page. You know, we've been checking Facebook pages, and there's some clubs that haven't posted anything in the last year or so. So it's important to have your Facebook or your social media outlets up to date, so people can be aware of what's happening. You know, we have a post there from 2019.
Yeah.
And you know, I look to all the pages of the 68 clubs at least once a week. Probably 60% have updated, the rest are still. So we will greatly appreciate all your support to keep that updated. You know, there's a lot of outlets that you can share: Rotary International, district information, other clubs. So we just need to be just re-sharing that information. So it's not that complicated. You don't have to have content, but just make sure that you keep pushing the information out.
One of the things we do in Angel Fire is put out a Rotary factoid of the week. And that could include something that our club is doing. And if I've used all those up, we put in what Rotary is doing in the world.
Great idea.
Thank you, Gordon. And something, there's a question from Debbie regarding what's the difference between a Facebook group and a Facebook page. Normally, the Facebook group is closed to the members that are part of that group. So we encourage to have a Facebook page so it can be open to the public. That's the difference between those two.
And when you start getting into groups, you run into problems with where you can post, what people can see. So it's a detriment if you're trying to get the most information out to the most people. Facebook groups are great for like private events or small, you know, groups that maybe, you know, you all like to go fishing on the weekends, and that's great for that. But as a club, you really want to have a vibrant Facebook page that's open to everybody. And don't be afraid to hop on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. Find somebody in your club who's more comfortable with that, and share it, because that's where you're going to find younger members. Instagram especially is where the younger generation lives. And that's where if you post a really great picture with maybe the Rotary People of Action image on top, you might get people interested and say, hey, what is that? What can I do? How can I help?
And just to give an example, when we had the Navajo project, we posted it on different sites, and we got donations from Dallas of people that saw the post and say, hey, you know, we want to help out. Give me an address and I'll send you donations. So you never know who's going to see it, or, you know, right now, everybody can have access to that and they can support your projects. That was the reason why I was recommending, for example, with the Albuquerque Metro blood drive coming up, to make sure that we post it so we can have other people that might be in Albuquerque those days that might be able to donate.
Donna, you've got a question.
Yes, thanks, Eric. When you were asking about successes, I have to say the Taos Milagro Rotary was really good at posting our speakers. Lewis, our president, would give a bio, and we had a lot of interest, as well as a lot of possible new members wanting to be a guest for that. And that really did get around on Facebook.
And there's how public image directly supports your membership, and your community connection, because people are seeing that, hey, I've got all these great speakers coming through. I should really, I'm interested in that. I want to learn more.
Yes.
And you
Thank
never
you.
know where that reach stops. Everything you put on the internet is there forever. And that's usually talked about in a bad way. But when you're sharing all the great things that your club is doing, it's there forever, and people can stumble upon it and, ask questions, and it's great. John.
Yeah, I was just going to share, if you're going to do your post on Facebook, make sure it's shareable so that people can share that. And, that way it's out there more.
Absolutely.
Following up with what Eric was mentioning, we've been getting new members. We've been getting people that receive Paul Harris, different things. So if you do it in your club and you don't share it, we're not going to be able to know about it. We want to make sure that if you have a new member, we can post a picture, a small bio, and say, oh, welcome. So we welcome them to the district, and everybody can, if you see a post on the district that says, hey, help us congratulate so-and-so on their birthday. It takes us 30 seconds to say, hey, happy birthday. Hey, congratulations. So that way people get recognized. The other thing, after COVID, we're going to have a great opportunity. We were hearing about membership and everybody, each one bring one. People are going to be eager to be part of something. So we got to be proactive, and we got to be out there letting people know that, hey, we had COVID, but we're still active. We're doing all this. So we can be in their minds for upcoming opportunities. Sorry, Eric, thanks.
Oh no, it's great. And your public image really helps. We talk about how big our district is and how spread apart we are. Accurately and successfully using social media makes our district small in the best way possible, so that we can all participate in each other's successes. We can help with what's coming up next. We can help promote. We're all tied together that way. John, you had something else?
Yeah, I had two questions. And it might be best to do this offline afterwards, but our club has a Facebook page, our club has a website, but they're both owned by someone who's no longer in the club. So we've tried to get permissions back from them, and to no avail. So that's really tough. Other than creating brand new stuff, which we would then have to go back and relink things and all that kind of stuff. It's a mess.
John, I will get with you if you want to shoot me an email, and I'll have my contact info up. I'd be happy to help you with that.
Thanks.
The Facebook page is a lot easier to get back than a website, but we can do it.
Great.
Anybody else have something that they're proud of their club for doing public image wise? Something they're showing what Rotary is all about through public image.
I think Allison has a comment.
I do. Not a question. I was just going to say that I think we do a really good job in Los Alamos, but we managed to recruit the editor of the local paper and blog site to become a Rotarian. So she posts every week information about our speakers and information about what the club's up to. She does advertising for us, and she gives us a really big discount on that as well. So that's, if you can do that, that's a really good thing to do, but it's made a big difference to us being able to reach out to people and to inform the community about Rotary. Everybody knows about Rotary now in our community, and that's good.
So I'd like to add, I'm sorry, Eric.
No, go ahead.
So I'd like to add that Eric and I are in the same club. Same club. I haven't talked that much today. Can you tell? Tongue-tied. And we have an active Facebook page. There's always at least one post going on every single week. And usually it's photographs from that week's meeting. But then on the same note, Eric does a lot in terms of logo and just visionary ideas that he's also adding to that. I don't go to the website very much, although that looks really cool. And then also he's already started with publicizing our upcoming soapbox derby next month. And the flyers and the forms are just gorgeous, but we have it up and out, and it's already out in the public eye. So I think he's doing a great job, and we're glad that he is with Clovis and helping the district as opposed to someone else's club and helping the district. So thank you.
Thank you. So not everybody, not every club is lucky enough to have a graphic designer who works on stuff. But I am more than happy to help any club. If you have an event that you need something done for, please reach out. If you need help with the website redesign or, you know, getting some images that help better represent your club, I'm always available. So please don't ever hesitate to ask. Vicky and then Sunny.
I just wanted to say we were really lucky with our blood drive. One of our members is the operations manager at the Albuquerque Convention Center, and he got us up on their big digital billboard promoting the blood drive. That was really collaborative because the graphics people that at my work put together the graphics, and then Fred got it up on the for at least a week. It's been up there, so a nice.
Use those community connections. Find the people who are willing to help. They may not want to join Rotary, but they may be willing to help your club out and to help whatever event you're working on. And it never hurts to ask. Sunny?
Thanks, Eric. That's a great idea. And thank you, Vicky. I just wanted to share that I learned a lot on the publicity for the district conference. And there were two things I think that we did that were different and that worked. One of them was starting really early with lots of different kinds of messages. So we kind of kept people reminded, but not with the same old flyer every time. And the other thing that was new for me was sending out videos. You know, videos are kind of a new thing for a dinosaur like me, but little short videos that spark imagination and curiosity can go a long way toward enrolling people.
Food
And
for
we had
thought.
a record registration.
Food for thought. You know, I was thinking about this while they were speaking. I don't know if, you know, you can reach out to your local university and see if your club wants to do like a small stipend for a student that can volunteer with your social media. I don't know if that's possible, but that could be something to help out. You're helping out a student and they might be able to get your social media out. And like Allison was saying, you know, if you have an article or a link to anything that comes up, please send them our way. And like Eric mentioned, we're here to help you. You know, you have the resources. We're here to support in any way that we're able. So food for thought.
Claudia.
Thank you for that. It's not electronic what I'm going to talk about it, but mostly it's in terms of public image. If we go outside and we want to wear our Rotary t-shirt, per se, we're a small club. And so we can buy 24 of the t-shirts or 30, which is the minimum amount that you need to order. We only are 15. What do? There is a way to get things ordered that a small club can afford the big number?
2 shirts per member. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think you can. And something that is really important, and that's a great point, Claudia. Thank you so much. We talked about this. Please wear your pins. Please wear your pins. That is something that we all have, and that will generate that conversation. But we can get back to you regarding the 15 shirts, but I think there's something that you can definitely request. There's different vendors that you might not have to have the 30 requests, but we'll be glad to follow up with you, Claudia, on that.
Well, and that's a great way to build some inter-club dynamic as well. Maybe you partner with another small club and you all order your shirts together and you help 2 small clubs and you spread it out. Let's take a couple more questions, and I want to make sure that Arturo and I can cover the Rotary brand fidelity before we're done. I'm trying to keep us on our 12:45 in time. Anybody else?
Jen had her hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to speak to the t-shirts question. So our club is only 9, and we actually had somebody within our club that knows someone that prints shirts, but I'm sure you could go to anybody that does. And we downloaded the logo from the brand center, and we were able, the Rotary logo, and we were able to provide that. And we could choose our neckline for our shirts, and we got polo shirts. So you can go to other printers that'll do smaller batches.
Yeah, we've got here in Socorro, one of our former members does T-shirts, and I'm working with him on doing some Rotary aprons as a fundraiser, which you'll probably be hearing about later in the hopefully early summer. But if you want his contact information, Claudia, I can get it for you.
Anybody else? All right, then I'm going to share my screen one more time. We'll talk about brand fidelity and why it is so important. So again, all of these pictures and images, they came directly from Brand Center. And that's a big way of helping to make sure that you're staying on brand fidelity, is use all the great resources that Rotary already has put together for you. So Rotary as a brand is more than a logo. It's much bigger than the wheel. It's truly a perception. It's how others think about us, not just about how we see ourselves. Our public image really has very little to do with what we think about ourselves. It's what are we showing our communities, and what do they see when they look at us. And our brand reflects our identity, our vision, our essence, and our values. And we want that brand to be true to Rotary's message. So in 2011, Rotary International initiated the Global Public Image Campaign, and it focused on 3 areas: membership, public image, and the foundation. And the campaign sought to change the image of Rotary to an organization of people in action. Rotary's people in action is a huge part of the new branding. And it included the restructuring of the Rotary logo from the Mark of Excellence, which is just the wheel, to the new master brand that has Rotary and the wheel together. So the reason they did that is, if you look at these images, it's really hard to tell that this all is part of one organization. You know, you've got groups. Yes, they all have the wheel. They're all sort of similar, but it's hard to really tell that there's a unifying brand behind these clubs. And that's what Rotary sought to fix. So the new Rotary master brand is this, and it's available on the Brand Center when it's working. It wasn't working this morning. It might be up now, but that is one thing. Brand Center is a little finicky and is down a lot, but it's also got great information for you. You can go in and you can download just the master brand. You can download a club brand, and you can download a lockup brand that's got like Rotary and the sign that's behind Sunny, the Rotary opens doors. So you can download all of that really easily from the Brand Center, and it's all ready for you to use. You don't have to be a designer. You don't have to be a computer expert to make sure that your club is truly following Rotary's guidelines. So what that means is that everything that you put out public image wise, especially in print and a lot on the web, make sure you've got the master brand. Make sure it's alone, and make sure that it follows the color schemes. There's a couple of really useful PDFs on the Brand Center that give you the exact color values and where you're allowed to use them, and when you can use the all white logo or the all black logo, things like that. So it's really worth a read to make sure you go and you understand what's going on there. Sunny, you have a question?
Actually, it's a comment, Eric. These are 2 things that I hadn't learned until this year that I wanted to share. One of them is that we are not supposed to use just this master brand alone unless we are promoting an RI piece of material. Otherwise, it should have the club name or the district number underneath.
So that is on that one.
Yeah.
On this slide at the bottom,
Exactly,
the district
just
logo.
like that. Thank you. And the other thing I wanted to mention, because this is something I think all of us may be prone to, is not using the master brand inside anything else. like making it a clever part of a picture. And I remember at the very beginning, some of you may remember this, Richard Haas came up with, I know you won't mind my sharing this, Richard, a beautiful design for the Las Cruces Convention Center that had the wheel rising over the Oregon Mountains. Rotary International probably wouldn't like that. Actually, Vitalant's picture of a rotary drop of blood with the master brand inside of it might also be a violation of that as well. We're gonna want to be leaving the Rotary logo on its own.
They want it to be clear what it is that you're promoting and that it is part of Rotary. When you put the master brand inside of something else, you really muddy down that image. And that's really what they want, is they want it just the pure Rotary logo so that there's no question who the event is sponsored by and what it is supporting.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. And this is my contact info. If you ever need anything help-wise with graphics or web work or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yes, also I just put my information on the chat if anything is needed. Something that is very important, we have a deadline to comply with this brand fidelity, which is June of next year. So we already created all the logos for the clubs. We have those available. So if your club needs any help on that, please reach out to me and I'll be glad to send you the 3 different logos. Also, something that we heard in the past is, as you can see in the logo that Eric showed, in the circle, it has Rotary International. Sometimes for the shirts, that's a challenge, but we will be glad to help out on those type of small details that some clubs might have questions on.
There is a Rotary master brand simplified for issues like that. It actually, just to show you real quick, it looks like this. So it doesn't have any of the wording inside. It's actually what Rotary uses on their website, is the simplified master brand.
Thank you, Eric.
Hey, we are a minute early. We did it. We're back on schedule.
I really want to thank Eric. It's been a complicated week for me and I was not going to be able to be here, but thank you, Eric, for stepping in and helping us with the presentation today. I really wanted to thank you for that. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, guys, for a wonderful presentation, good information. For you clubs that you might have some expendables like handouts or business cards with the old logo on it or something that's contrary. You feel free to use that up this year. Use them up. You don't have to throw them away right now, but I'll be ready to start with a new logo as of 1 July 2022. Thank you.
Correct. And that's a great point, Governor Ross, Governor-elect, because one of the things that we checked with Rotary was for the landmarks or big things in the city, we don't need to change those, but stationary logos on Facebook, logos on websites, that's what we need to take care of. So please don't hesitate to let it. Street signs, thank you, Debbie. That's a great question. Street signs can remain the same. It's just for the, like I said, social media, websites, stationery, shirts, everything on that regard.
Excellent. Okay, so let's take a 15-minute break now. Let's come back at 1 o'clock to have our last presentation about service projects and our wrap-up. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your participation. You guys are doing great, and we'll see you at 1 o'clock.
So Eric or Arturo, are we supposed to not use any existing shirts that don't meet the brand after next June?
That will be the recommendation. That's correct.
Technically, no. I don't think they're going to come, send the police after you.
Right.
But it's just they're really trying to clean up the branding.
One of the challenges is that we, as Eric mentioned on the presentation, there's a lot of different logos. We're trying to make sure that people recognize Rotary as one organization, independently of the club. So you can use the shirts, but it's recommended that we start updating for the new shirts that you order to make sure that comply with the guidelines.
And actually, if you have the funds making sure every member has the new logo pin would be a great gift too. Yes, nobody expects the branding inquisition, and no, there are no Rotary police. Just
Oh, you'd be surprised, Sonny.
actually, no, I'll tell you, I've encountered people in other districts who were doing funny things with the logo, and I called it to somebody's attention at the zone level, and I was told that they had been consulted with and had declined to change. And so I think that's as far as the enforcement goes. You know, we aren't going to twist anybody's arm, force them to the ground, or kick them out of Rotary. But the request, strong request, is that we comply, that we be faithful to the one logo.
And
So-
will you be
so
sending
there's
that
no
information
police,
out
but
to
there's
the,
enforcement.
will you be sending that information out to the clubs as a sort of gentle reminder that, you know, this enforcement is coming down?
We will.
We have been putting it in the newsletter. I guess that's not the very best way to get it to everyone, is it? Maybe.
No, I was thinking more of the presidents of the,
Yeah.
you know, the clubs and maybe the secretaries. should
Good
be made
idea.
aware.
Arturo and Eric, maybe we could do a memo to presidents, elect and secretaries, just summarizing what we're asking this year.
Yes, we'll work on that, Sonny.
Well, and Arturo, I
Great
think it might be a
idea,
good idea
Alex.
to make a short video
Oh, there's a
presentation
great
to,
idea.
to share, and then it can be even shared with clubs and things like that as well.
No. Okay.
I've become a big fan of videos.
It starts back at
When are we starting again? I missed that. At
One, I
o'clock.
believe.
Nice job, Arturo and Eric. We're back on track.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. You guys are heroes. It's a lot to sit through.
Good job, Eric.
Oh, thank you. I had a lot more in my presentation, but I knew I wanted us to get back on time.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure it gets sent out though.
Thank you. That would be great. It's an excellent presentation. It will be useful for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. You did a great job.
Thank you.
And good job, Tom. I thought that was very well focused on what the foundation chairs needed to do.
Yeah, Tom, that was great. I was really honored that my calendar got included
and cited.
and cited with
Cited.
attribution. Yes.
To be honest, you were one of my the first people that called me out of Albuquerque to go visit, and obviously you did several times. But I back then I was so impressed that somebody actually had a plan.
Yes, it's a rare and wonderful thing. We had Dick Jones come and talk about polio. We had Zelly Polon come and talk about the Peace Fellowship. It was really neat.
And unfortunately, that was a little more fire hose. But I was concerned that nobody had ever looked at that resource.
That is such a great resource. If you only did that, it covers so much.
And between that and the manual, and don't ask me why they quit doing the manual. You know, that's Rotary.
I think they're trying to save paper.
Well, yeah, but you know, there's old folks like me that's when my brain works.
I know, me too.
But really that guide that Jeff put together, that will save a lot of hate and discontent. You know, you're looking for some form and you don't even know what form you're looking for.
Exactly.
He's kind of walks you through it, and you know, how do I raise money? Well, there's 6 steps to do it.
Yeah.
Along with resources. So hopefully that'll be useful to our folks. So
Yes, I think so.
is make sure they get it and so forth.
Rotary,
I suppose we could put it up on the website, but my guess is probably people, it wouldn't be found any easier there than on the zone website.
Maybe not. I don't know. Under foundation resources, maybe. Jen, were you going to say something?
yeah, sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna ask, because you said, Governor Tom, they got rid of the handbook, and I was trying to find an updated one for service projects. I found a really nice one from like 2009, but when I look at the website now, it's not, it doesn't really have a handbook. For presidents, I think it does, but not for the service.
Well, I had been looking for that for 6 months, and I stumbled doing it.
What they did is they developed the learning center courses for each committee.
So
that's
I looked in there too. But maybe you can help me, Jeff. I mean, I was looking, maybe I
right, but
wasn't
the only
looking
thing
right.
you can download are those job description one-pagers.
Yeah.
So the course, the learning center courses cover a lot of what was in the manuals. And I guess Rotary's decision is use learning center in lieu of the manuals. I like the manuals too. But they didn't have those learning center courses before.
Right.
Of course, the other resources are in the RLI materials.
Oh, well, are you saying that everything is on video now? There's not like printed stuff or stuff that's digitally.
Exactly. They're
So
doing away with written manuals.
The job description.
I hate videos.
The job descriptions that I sent out are about all that you can download right now that's current about key club committees.
Yeah.
The rest of it is through the Learning Center courses, but that's one of the reasons we're doing this, because the job descriptions are great, but they don't cover everything.
Right.
Vicky, you're like me. We're being dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
It's crazy because I like sell video, but I don't like watching it myself. It's very bad.
I got it.
My next challenge is Instagram. Maybe Eric can tutor.
Oh, I can help you.
Okay.
No, I'm with you, Vicky. Print shops matter. I own a print shop, and everything going digital doesn't help. Print shops matter.
So for those of you who were club presidents a number of years ago, if you remember, when you were president-elect, you got a huge box of all of those manuals. It wasn't just your own. It's all those committee manuals, and then it was your job to distribute them. So that's the only good thing is that the incoming presidents don't get the big box anymore.
And we're saving paper, but I mean, I do a lot on the screen. Like I won't necessarily print it, but I'll save it and have it digitally able to read it.
Yeah, I like the PDF counterparts of all of it.
Yeah.
We do have a PDF president's manual. I wonder why they don't make PDFs of the others available.
Well, not having that big box is kind of I mean, as a up and coming president, I didn't even know that we need to share all this information. So, having a box saying, hey, this is what you need to take care of when you're president is kind of a nice thing, because then you know what's there, as opposed to say, hey, I think you need to go watch this, or you need to go watch that, or something.
Yeah.
Well, Governor, just remember, I think it was October or November, I got a UPS shipment that I think had 8 boxes in it. Wow. And that was for all of those manuals for the entire district. Okay. And I didn't have any place to put it, so it ended up right inside the front door until pets. And I actually have a photo of my Monte Carlo. The trunk was full of boxes.
I believe it. I had one big box of manuals for every president, and I didn't get to deliver it at Pets, so I was mailing them out individually. You remember that, Willis? A manual and a letter and a pin.
Yep. And
a mask.
And a mask, and I've used the mask because it's got
good.
the people of action. It's real cool.
That's right.
And everything else, of course, I've used that too.
Of course.
And if you don't have a pin, you're not a Rotarian.
Well, this was the theme pin. This was the,
This one.
Rotary opens opportunities. Yes, just like Willis has behind him. And I noticed Gordon Cox has the perfect club master brand on his screen.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what every club can get that from Arturo. So Willis and John, you did a great job too. Is John still? Yeah, John's still
Oh,
here.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm still
much,
here.
so much to talk about in these areas. We want to make sure people have resources to get going.
Yeah, what the president and I did, we bought the new Rotary pens for every member. Got them both with the magnetic back and the pen back. We also bought some of the face masks with Rotary on them.
Great. That's
So
really
when I finished my presidency last year, I got the pins for all the club members, and I got the spouses the pins.
Oh wow.
So you have the spouse Rotary pin. So
The master brand one?
yeah, the new ones they're available with the magnet.
Yes, that's really nice.
So you multiply the number of members with the spouses.
I'm really liking these magnet ones because I used to poke holes in all my silk and chiffon and everything, and it was really annoying.
It plays havoc with my pacemaker, though.
I never thought of that.
So does that make your Rotary meeting more exciting?
And apparently,
Vibrant in a different way.
Vibrant.
if you have a pet or a child who swallows the magnet, that's a very bad thing. And you have to
Oh.
go to the emergency room immediately.
That's good to know. Everyone be careful.
So did you have that experience, Vicki?
What?
Did you have that experience?
No, I read about it online, of course.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, more interesting is my wife who swallowed her rings, her wedding rings.
Oh no.
How did she do that?
Well, she normally took them off when she made bread, and somehow she swallowed them. Went to the emergency room and they said, well, just wait and they will pass. So
And they did?
it did, but it took 8 days of checking.
That sounds like a lot of crap.
Bob.
Well,
Now that's commitment.
I'm sure she loves you
Yes.
telling that story. I'm sure.
Okay. On that note,
Were you losing control, Bob?
that happened a couple hours ago.
I think that's a TMI.
Yeah.
Some of us are eating lunch.
I think so. Well,
Oh dear.
from the ridiculous to the sublime, huh?
Yeah.
Don't eat your meat.
We're now moving into our last area of service here, and that's service projects. And this is really why we're here. You know, Rotary is service above self. Our incoming president has said, grow more to do more. Our theme in our district is adapt and grow to serve. So now we're going to talk about how we should be serving over the next year with the projects that we do locally and around the world, really. So for that, we have Jen Dresser and Earl Greer. Jen is the president of our Metro Club and becoming our assistant governor next year. And Earl Greer is our community projects chair. And I believe Earl is down in 2-year C.
Right now I'm in Elephant Butte. I'm in
Elephant Butte,
paradise.
Elephant
I pity the rest of you, but yes. Everybody's got to be somewhere sometime, right, Bob?
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Well, Bob took a little bit of my thunder away because I was going to introduce Jen, but now everybody knows Jen and she's going to be the new big dog in Albuquerque, the AG. So Jen, we're glad that you're on board with us. That's for sure. She has a partner, Mark, and a couple of dogs, and they all keep her in line, or maybe she keeps them all in line. I'm not sure. She's doing a great job keeping me in line, and I certainly appreciate that, and I appreciate her. My first question to all of you before Jen throws up and shares the screen, and this is an open question to everybody. What is the most important committee in Rotary? And I'm not saying service, I'm asking you your thoughts. Boy, did it get quiet.
You got to offer chocolate, Earl.
Well, it's here. You all need to come to the office. I've got Hershey's with almonds.
Okay.
So membership, Earl.
Membership, okay. Anybody else? Debbie Cox typed in foundation. Okay. Anybody else? It's interesting because, and I'm going to go ahead and break it because normally I would sit here and wait as long as it took for answers to come out. But at the same time, it's after lunch and everybody's wanting to spend the rest of their Saturdays doing something different, or at least following up with what they've done. So I'll continue on. It's interesting that everybody has a different priority of what they think is most important in Rotary for them. And that's what each president brings a little bit different to their club as their club president. So now I will, following up with that, I will ask you, what is the most important organ in the human body? Boy, I'll tell you, you guys ate too much for lunch.
You kind of need almost all of them, but like, you know, you're not going to survive long without a brain or a heart. So
Okay.
that's organs.
Debbie Cox says heart. I agree. Some people will say brain.
I
Some
say
people
liver.
might, you know, some people might say that the heart can't survive without the lungs, and the lungs can't survive without the stomach. And none of them, and the brain can't survive without any of them, but I would submit to you, and I'm going to be very nice about this, the stomach can't survive without the
Liver.
intestines. Notice how nice I was about that. My point is that every single part makes up the whole. And that's the same thing in Rotary. Every single part makes up the whole. And so while foundation is incredibly important, membership is incredibly important, yet you can tie them all in, every single one of them, into service projects. Every single one of them. As you have a solid plan of service in your area, you bring people in on board, you get them involved. Pretty soon you're bringing people who are not members of your club on board to help out. Now all of a sudden you've got ideas, or at least prospects for new members. As you're doing that, people get excited. They understand about applying for grants. All of a sudden they want to start contributing money to foundation because they know that 3 years down the road, they can get some of it back. And it just creates a synergistic effect. And so service projects is one thing you might want to seriously consider. And of course, as a past club president, I strongly encourage everybody to get to try to lead by committee and not by individuality. Let your committee go, because in that way you have more people involved. Everybody has an investment in the project, whatever it is, whether it's service projects, whether it's foundation, whether it's membership. And you get more people involved, you have a more successful outcome in whatever it is you're trying to do. So service projects. Jen, you want to share your screen?
Yep. Can everybody see it and hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go.
Great. Okay, so what the service committee's role and responsibilities are is just getting back to our motto, service above self, which means that we're all responsible for improving the quality of life in our communities. And the role of the Club Service Projects Committee is to help develop those projects that will improve the community. And I mentioned during the break that I found this manual, so I'll reference it a couple times, even though it's kind of out of print and there are additional modules available in the Learning Center, but I found it helpful for this, preparing for this presentation. And then just like Earl was saying, service projects connect to everything we do. So for youth programs, many youth volunteers, they don't volunteer because they have to, they volunteer because they want to serve, not because it's a school requirement. And within club memberships, it keeps club members coming back. It keeps them staying in the club. We have this discussion all the time in Metro, that the reason our club members stay within our club is to help continue to make positive impact in our communities, in our community. With the foundation, I joined Rotary personally because I wanted to serve, but once I joined Rotary and I saw the work that the foundation does and how efficient they are with the funds that we contribute, I feel like I'm extending my ability to serve by giving to the foundation. And then with public image and branding, just like Eric and Arturo were saying, service is a great story, and it just attracts, when people see what we're doing, it just attracts even more people who want to do good in the world to what we're doing. So it definitely connects, and just like Earl was saying, it's all part of the whole. Sure, can't live without any one of them. So we wanted to, especially because it's after lunch and everybody's probably a little bit sleepy, we wanted to ask a question of the group. How has your club identified a successful project in the past? And then if you want to add to that, what were some of those successful projects? Any volunteers that want to talk about that?
Now, if everybody's going to be quiet, we're going to call on somebody. So you guys kind of start thinking a little bit, because we may pick on you because you're yes, Eric, you're up.
I will bite the bullet. So 2 years ago in Clovis, we did something called Painting a Better Story. And what that was is we provided free art supplies and canvases to school-age children all over the community. And we had them paint a picture. And then we collected all of those pictures and we held a silent and a live auction. And all of that money went to benefit a local child advocacy center. And what was great is we expected to get maybe 100 paintings over the 3 months that we were building up. We ended up with a little under 500, and it was awesome. It was a pain to hang all of those for our silent auction, but it was great. And in a 2-hour auction, we raised almost $14,000 off of a brand new project. And we had a lot of really good community response, not only from the schools, but from parents and the people who bought art. And it was just a really great project and a fun one because we got to involve a whole lot of people.
That is great. Did you guys hear that? $14,000. Woo! And he tied all that into a service project. I'm going to try to go in order. Debbie, I think you had your hand up next.
Well, thank you. We've identified service projects basically in 3 different ways. One is to talk to other community organizations like the school. And we have a major Girl Scout ranch right in our community. So we communicate with them and we ask them, what do you need? We have individuals in the club come forward with suggested service project ideas. And we have just looked at the areas of focus that Rotary has and thought about how those areas of focus can directly relate to our communities. And that is the 3rd way that we have come up with project ideas in our community.
So in every instance, you looked at community needs from your perspective, especially as a club, because everybody knows different parts of the community.
Right.
You came up with needs and then created your project from there.
Right.
Perfect.
And we invite a lot of the other nonprofits in our community to be speakers at our meeting. And that helps educate us on what they're doing and how they might need some help.
Great. Donna?
Well, I love these last 2 that were brought up. And most recently, what we did at the House Milagro Rotary was we just had a real urge to support the teachers and staff. We have really a firsthand look of what they were going through, because a lot of us read with students and we saw these teachers just struggling. So we got together and we did a project that we put together 400 bags. And then we delivered to each and every school. And it was just a really cute thing that we had candy in each little bag. And every piece of candy meant something, as in, the Fireball candy was because of their unending energy. And, we had like 5 or 6 different candies. And the folks that were delivering those said everyone was so incredibly happy. So that was a pretty successful project that just occurred.
Cool. Good job. Claudia?
Thanks. So our club is it's been always small. It's the Breakfast Club, and I'm originally from Chile. So when the earthquake hit in 2010, which was pretty devastated, almost 9, in the south area, I said, well, let's do something. And knowing the language and the culture, I think make that project successful. So we were able to do a global grant, $30,000, and it was extended to 3 schools to do computer labs. Our high school was completely devastated, completely destroyed. So we were able to provide computer lab for, at the end, 3 different schools, a high school and 2 elementary school. So it was extended. But again, I think the fact that it was successful is because it was a year project. So you start and complete it within a year. And also we had the contact people at the other side, I know the culture and all the people. So that made it successful. So then Haiti also was hit in 2010 with another earthquake. So we did another 30,000 global grant to help an orphanage to get the furniture at the school, the bookcase, the benches, the desks, things like that. And that was a little harder because we did not speak the language, but we were able to complete it again within a year. When the project was within a year for a small club, I think it feels successful than in a long-term thing. I think just to have something concrete to do for a small club, I think it was the success that we've been having.
Oh, and we congratulate you. The only thing I would add to that, Claudia, and for everybody, what could Claudia have done just to bring her project up a notch? Anybody have an idea? There's one idea that I want to hear come out.
Invite the rest of us to participate.
Thank you. Absolutely. Claudia, if for instance, if you had contacted me and said, this is what we're doing, would your club have an interest? I would have immediately gone to my club and said, hey, do we want to leverage some of our resources and help out? Now, you did an international project. We can do that locally too on our local projects. If a board or a club does not have a particular project in mind and nobody thinks that there's something that needs to be done, talk to some of the neighboring clubs that are around you. Of course, in Albuquerque, that's a slam dunk. You've got a number of clubs in one town, but you get out into the rural areas, you may need to go to the next town. That's not a problem. You just contact, just like Claudia said, you contact somebody in that club, get that contact, and then go to work. Thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, and Errol, let me add up that the first project in Chile, actually I went to the Tri-District Conference in El Paso. Perfect. My first Tri-District that I participated on, to go there and request money. And I have a lot of folks telling me, they don't give money, they want money. So I don't think you're gonna be successful. I tell you, all the Mexican clubs in Texas help us. It was unbelievable. It was really good.
Cool.
It's unexpected, so it's a good experience.
Great report. Thank you so much. John, let's start with our incoming leader. And then we'll go to John Morrison.
Okay, the project that immediately popped to my mind was several years ago. I was in a club, different district, but because of the clubs and because of Rotary's our involvement throughout the community, several members became aware of this need at the same time, and it was a need for a hospital in Mexico that desperately needed equipment. And one of our members in the club knew of a hospital that was putting used equipment away, just keeping it in storage. I guess they were going to sell it or something later on, but we approached the hospital and said, would you work with us and donate that used equipment, because this hospital in Mexico could desperately use it. And the hospital said, yes, we got their okay. We got the okay in Mexico for that hospital to accept the equipment. One of our members had a trucking company and he said, I'll bring the truck. And we loaded up a semi-truck load of equipment and drove it across the border to a hospital in Mexico. And I mean, it was amazing. All the club members came together, paid for the duties and all that stuff. They all helped load up, take all the equipment out of the hospital and load it into the semi. So it was a hands-on thing. We got people involved, community recognition and stuff like that as well. It was a huge project for us. Small club.
John, you just brought up an important point that Arturo does such a good job of. As you do these projects, we need to get ourselves branded that we're doing these projects. Everybody needs to know that. That again, we're all one. Even though we're many parts, we're all one. And getting ourselves branded like that helps membership, which will help foundation, which will help more future service projects. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Good job. Thank you. John Morrison.
Yeah, about the last 4 years, our biggest community project has been the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which provides free books for kids from birth to their 5th birthday. Every month they get a free book. And we've got about 250 kids enrolled. And we have the hospital signed up so that any time a child's born, the mom gets an application right then and there, so that by the time they graduate, they'll have 60 books and they all have their name in them. And there's some of them that are in Spanish, but it's a very good program.
Great. Did anybody get any ideas from this? What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I think those are great ideas. Anything else we want to say on that, Earl, or pretty good collection, I think?
I think we can keep on trucking.
All right. Well, one of the things that I heard a couple times in our training today, and it came out in the discussion of the project ideas that you all just had, is that it's really, in terms of finding a project best fit, it's really important to ask. Like, you may already know what the need is, you might be right, but it would be really good just to check with the community leaders or with the nonprofit groups just to make sure what you think is a need actually is. And sometimes a need isn't a gap. It's not something negative. Sometimes there's something that's working really well in the community and they just need extra help and resources to expand it. So that's the first step, I think, is getting with the community leaders and finding out what's truly needed. Once you've done that.
Jen, if you don't mind, when you do that, incorporate your membership chair to help.
Yep, great idea.
You're reaching out to non-club members, and so incorporate, that's part of your board, incorporate your membership chair to assist. Go ahead, sorry.
Yep, no problem. It's a good suggestion. And then you want to go back to your club and say, well, what do we have to fulfill this need? How many people hours do we have within the club? Because if you're a 9-member club like I am, you may not want to commit to build like a library for the town of Albuquerque. It might be too big of a project. So you have to think about what you have available to you, the funds, and fundraising is part of that. What can you do to realistically fundraise for it? And then how can you reach out to the broader Rotary community for more assistance, either ideas, networking, asking other clubs, like you said, Earl, to Claudia for her projects. What can you do to draw in more resources? And then finally, if you want to keep your club members motivated, ask them what they're interested in, whether it's work skills, vocational abilities, or skills they've collected through hobbies. What do they want to work on? And when you find all 3 of these things fit together, that's really going to be your best fit for a club project. So I just wanted to share that overview. That was my takeaway in the past with previous clubs I've worked with. Any further comments on that, Earl?
I think that's great. And the thing about it is, if you look back, you can incorporate all the members of the board in doing this. And as a result of that, you're increasing everybody's buy-in into this and investment into the club and getting the things done. And then pulling the resources. What resources are available? In our club, we built literally a t-ball field. Well, we went to a number of different entities, including of course, this was back when building supplies were somewhat nominal. Yeah, but we went to the local builder supply. We went to a number of entities looking for donations, looking to be a part of it so that they could contribute, and literally built a t-ball field for the local Little League. And so the resources are there. It's just a matter of brainstorming with the balance of your members and coming up with the ideas.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Melver had a question from John Morrison. John, if you could look at in the chat about the costs for the Dolly Parton books. Okay, sorry about that, Jen. Go ahead.
No problem. Thanks for bringing that up. And this is high-level steps for a successful project. I'm not going to go into these a lot of detail, but I just wanted to reinforce, when you start, assess the situation and ask what's needed, what do you have that will fulfill the need. Choose your project as a club, and then make a plan. And from there, it's really just project management. There's lots of resources for project management out there, in addition to the manual that I linked and the RLI resources. Take action. And then, as we said before, it's really, really important to evaluate your success, because not only are younger members that want to join Rotary interested in impact, but it's great for public image to put that out there. And you want to celebrate it. It'll motivate your members to continue and find another project that goes as well. So these high level are the steps that you want to follow to get there.
So with Jim's steps for successful projects, one of the things to look at as you're assessing the situation, you're using your board, you're asking your community, just like the three spheres that she had and where they all came together. That's where the common area was. In choosing the project, if I could suggest that as you choose that project as a board, everybody come together and choose the project, but then ask each one as an example, and we're picking on membership because that's one of the key ones. What is a Rotary purpose for that project relative to membership? And so they have a goal with what happens in that project. The branding. So you're talking to the folks that are going to get the word out to and market the project that it's happening. What's the Rotary purpose for that project relative to branding and relative to getting it out in the community and letting people see? And you can go to each board member that's a chair of the committee and ask them to put a Rotary purpose on that project. And then when you present it to your club, you've really, everybody's bought into it, and everybody now has an investment into it. And it makes the plan a little bit more dynamic and the action a little bit more dynamic. I mean, I think you'll see interesting responses coming back from that. Thanks, Jen.
Agreed. Yep. And then I just wanted to share a couple resources. I found this one pager was really helpful, and in the PowerPoint, which I'm hoping we can send out, it's linked right in there. And it talks about using online tools that Rotary has, discussion groups to get ideas, Rotary Showcase to see what other groups are doing. Partners like Shelter Box is kind of like a ready-made project that you can connect with. Mediators Beyond Borders, the Peace Corps. Habitat for Humanity is one that a lot of clubs work with. And then planning your project here, it talks about a Rotary Community Corps, engage local residents and businesses to understand what the needs are. So it's just a really helpful kind of at a glance one pager of what we talked about. This is the link to the old handbook, which I guess might not be official anymore, but I thought it had some helpful lists in it. The Rotary Leadership Institute materials have some helpful pointers and lists in it right here. And then this is a link to the same online tools that are referenced. So anything else we want to wrap up with, Earl?
Can I make a comment?
Oh,
yes, ma'am, please.
Where you put assessing the situation, I think that's extremely important, because I have noticed that in some of the projects that we've done, if we don't address the need as other people say it, but not how we interpret it, we haven't had such success. I mean, if we go in and say, oh, obviously they need this, without talking to them and asking them, we could be right off track, and then the project is doomed to failure, because the people don't want it and they don't buy into it at the same time as we're doing it.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody awake? Bianca, I see you.
Earl, this is Jeff.
Yes, Jeff.
So I recall vividly last year at
goodness.
assistant governor training, we were reinforcing Rotary International's focus on the connections between membership and public image and foundation.
Yes.
And we did a really good job at that training in showing that. And then you got up as the district service projects chair and you said, well, while those connections are important, service projects are foundational to all of it. So in a sense, that kind of three-legged stool is reasonable, but you got to have a floor. And I think what you kind of reinforced is that if a club doesn't have well-designed and effective service projects, it makes all three of the others much, much harder to accomplish.
Yes. Yes, and thank you, Jeff. Thanks for bringing that up. And that I sort of kind of tried to bring that up as we've gone through here, that everything ties in together, but there's a focal point literally with the service projects where all of them come together, and you really build on membership. You really build on public image. You really build on foundation as you have successful service projects. And like Allison said, they need to be service projects that people want, that everybody's buying into it, everybody's investing into it. Bianca, you're muted. That's amazing, I must say. Bianca's muted. Oh my goodness.
Oh, hush.
Do that.
We love you, Bianca. You know that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I have not ever participated, and as long as I've been in the Roswell Rotary Club, we have not done an international project. So someone please share with me and others who are kind of new. There's is it a bi-district conference? Is that what it's called, where everybody, all the clubs get together and share what international projects they're working on? Is that what that is, and when is that? And
so if you can think of the conference, it's a marketing gathering. So people will gather there and they will bring forth projects that they're working on. Individual clubs, individual groups will do that. Other clubs will go there to see what is being marketed, what is being presented, what needs there are, to see if their club wants to be involved. A couple of years ago, my local club president and one other individual went down and walked around, and they came out with 2 different projects to assist on, came back to the club and the club bought into it. And so they went and it was, both of them were in Mexico. But yes, absolutely. And I don't know if Claudia went through that. She mentioned being at by district. That's in October in El Paso. Claudia, did you want to address that?
Yeah, so that was the Tri-District Conference in El Paso years ago. And I was very lucky to have Tom Walker as the person that helped me to put everything through, really. I think
everybody's lucky to have hard. Tom, I got to tell you.
It was hard, but you have the support. I mean, definitely I reached out to the district and they told me go to Tri-District. So I set up my table, put the computer, put all my banners, and basically said, here, I need help. And that's what it was. And it was a very extremely rewarding experience.
Cool. Did that help, Bianca?
yes, so that will be set up in the fall again this year. So we just need to watch for it.
Yeah, the tentative dates are the 1st and 2nd of October.
Awesome.
In El Paso, and we right now it's a bi-district. It might be tri-district. The bi-district is us and our sister district, 4110 in across the border in Mexico. And we might bring in a 3rd district from West Texas. And in the past, has been very successful. We have some challenges again with the lockdown, with our sister district in Mexico getting across the border into El Paso for an in-person, and we may have to go with a virtual one like we did last year, which was rather successful as well. So more to follow on that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, Bianca, the Rotary Club of Santa Fe has a person who's helped organize I don't know how many projects in water and sanitation projects in Guatemala, and many trips down there, and many clubs. Lots of you that are on here have been involved, I'm sure, in funding those. So Deborah Simon is the one she's also one of the persons that was mentioned as a part of the leadership of the district. But we're always looking for other clubs to be involved. So be in touch with us.
Great. Great. Yes, Tom.
This is the famous Tom.
Yes, or infamous.
Bianca, there are the by district is obviously one that many of our clubs use, but for instance, right now in the approval process, Albuquerque is involved with a club in northern Mexico, not in 4110, but the district next to them. Albuquerque del Sol has put together a project involving a bunch of our clubs in the Nepal project, and we're trying to get that one approved. Albuquerque is also involved in a project in northern Mexico in District 4110. And El Paso Camino Real is heavily involved. They're probably the district that's most heavily involved in global grants right now in the district. But there are a number of them. And if any club is interested in working on global grants, for instance, I would suggest talking to the Global Grant Committee, because they'll have a finger or on the pulse of what's going on in the district and who's trying to support what. By the way, nobody knows it, but Gallup is hosting a $75,000 global grant in Navajo Nation. Nobody knows that except for several of us. And I will say we're probably not doing a really great job of advertising all of these things, but there's lots of activity going on.
Past Governor Tom brought up a point I think that I was going to bring up, and that is one of the key components I think for this is the LGs and the AGs, because the LGs and the AGs, especially the AGs, but the AGs know what's going on in the different clubs, and they know if there's somebody that's coming up with a project and they're looking for resources or looking for leveraging from other clubs. They're really critical. And so if I could encourage everybody, talk to your AG, find out what's going on, have them find out from the clubs that they're over what's going on. Talk to your LG, because then your LG's got several AGs that they're dealing with. That's a great resource. I mean, we got to look at our own resources. We talked about clubs a minute ago. Now let's talk about it from a district standpoint. It's the same thing. Talk to the LGs, talk to the AGs, get ideas, because there's opportunities, I think, for things right here in our own district, much like the Navajo Nation project. Vicki?
Yeah, I wanted to give some advice on maybe getting some good publicity for that Navajo Nation project, because I work at KOB TV, and Colton Schoen is Navajo. He's our morning anchor, and he does a lot of coverage of that kind of stuff. So you could I'll put my email in the chat, and I can get you his contact information and the general information for PR at the station. So
perfect. And that's what this is all about. Governor Bob.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Vicki just said, when you're doing a local community project, have a public image component to that. Whereas if you can get some brightly colored, properly logoed apparel to wear, signage in the area that you're working, and then let not only the digital media know, but also through print and broadcast media as well. Bring in community members, community organizations, and civic leaders. That'll also bring in more coverage as well to help in your membership. So have a PI component to your service projects.
Great. Yes, absolutely. And that ties in. I mean, as you do that, now you've got public image coming out, you've got membership because you're advertising what's going on. As you increase membership, then foundation gets the boost as well. Great ideas, everybody. Anything else? Anybody else? Jen?
No, that's all I've got. Yeah, my number one takeaway from putting together this presentation is just make sure you ask. Like, I can't say that enough. Ask leaders, ask your club, and fit it all together. And just like I thought your organ analysis, Earl, where we're all different organs in the body, is a pretty good analysis too, because all these different areas of our club fit together: service, membership, the foundation, it all fits together. So.
Well, Jen, if I'd have been able to do that this morning while everybody's awake, everybody would have cracked up at the intestine part, but everybody was asleep. They didn't catch that. Probably a good thing.
We caught it, Earl.
Cool beans.
Allison, it's Jerry Pike. Jerry Pike.
Are you wanting the grants or are you wanting the Gallup? Gallup is doing the project on the Navajo Nation.
Oh,
You're muted, Allison.
You're muted, Allison.
then I want Gallup.
I thought so.
Thank you. I got confused with grants and grants.
Understand.
Thank you very much. That'd be great.
So Governor Sunny, do you know Gallup's? Off the
Her
top of
name
your
is
head?
Veronica, and I'm spacing on her last name. If you can't find it in Club Runner, Allison, give me a call.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Jen, thank you. You are wonderful. I appreciate you, and you'll be a great assistant governor.
Thank you. Thanks for your help.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Earl. Thank you, Jen. Thanks, everyone.
Well, that brings us to the end of our mega breakout session here today. And before I wrap it up, I'd like to give the floor to Governor Sunny to sort of wrap this all up together.
Well, thank you, sir. I will say what I always say, which is that it's never not valuable to hang with Rotarians. And no matter how much we know about Rotary, there's always more to learn. Thank you for giving so generously of your Saturday for this. I'm glad we're recording it so that other club officers who weren't able to be with us will have a chance to benefit from this meeting. As always, your district stands ready to support you in every endeavor, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Bless you all. Thank you for your service and for being Rotarians.
Thanks, Governor Sunny. And yeah, I'll just reinforce that I hope one of the main takeaways y'all got is the district is here to support you, to help you do what you want to do in service to your community and the world. So we've got tremendous amount of resources. Don't ever not reach out to us for any help you need through your assistant governor, your lieutenant governor, me, our staff, our committee chairs. I mean, we've got a plethora of resources to help you be successful in everything you want to do. I want to thank Jeff and his team for putting together this wonderful assembly, all the work that went into this. Wonderful presentations by everybody. I learn every time I go to one of these sessions. I learn a lot, and this was no exception. Thanks, Jeff, for everything you've done for me and our district this year. And lastly, I really appreciate everybody joining us to take advantage of this wonderful service we provide our district. Share the information with your clubs when you go back. And again, thanks for all the support you give for your community and me. And I look forward to working with you more over the next 13 months, 14 months. So y'all, Jeff, do you have anything to add? Once you're off mute.
Yeah. So any PowerPoint that I haven't sent out yet, we will send out as long as either Jesse has them or I have them. And you will also be getting the links to the recorded versions, and you will be getting a survey. We really do need your feedback a lot. We tried a lot with this assembly, and we really need to know what worked well and how we can do better next time. So thank you all very much.
So I would ask that our DG line stay on when we're done. So we can sort of what we call it in the Air Force, a hot wash on this. But every rest of you, please enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I look forward to working with you in service. Thanks.
See you later, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
See ya.
See ya.
Jeff, you can stay on too, please.
I will. And Jesse, you can stop recording. And again, hopefully it'll just, I'm going to